Guess who they were gonna go with in that role?
Chris Rock.
Wesley Snipes.
Really?
Taylor, I just drew something on this page. Is it a circle, a triangle, or a square?
A triangle. Oh, God damn!
Like an Indiana Jones book. What is
sports
that?
picks?
Like
Sports picks. Sports picks. We gotta take advantage of this. Who's playing right now? I need to make an account on a gambling website first. I don't know how to do that.
I'm hit that bad boy. Let's go.
No, put it on the mic.
Okay.
Warble. You need some warble.
Hold on.
It's the same as the other one.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for.
My mom this year bought me a Christmas present and was like, she told me, she's like, oh, this is going to be so funny, Taylor. I saw it. It was a joke from the podcast that you do. They all say that you look like an owl. And so I bought you this owl with
What is in it? Money? Rocks?
No, potpourri. Like it smells really good, so I do like it. I like smell good stuff.
Globalists, the Eagles are trying to take over our society, and you should be able to eat as many crickets as you want. That's as many bugs, anything as you want. I like the ladybugs because I find that it gives a nice red tint to my feathers. That's what I prefer. But these motherfuckers, they tell you to eat grub worms. They tell you to eat grub worms. I tell you this, I ate a couple grub worms and I started feeling a little gay. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying I'm just asking questions.
I walked in and it was some guy like doing like magic tricks with cards for a couple girls, and I'd never done it before. I don't know why, but I just was like, let me see all of those. And I grabbed them all and I like just moved them around a bit, and I just went right to the guy's face sitting there. He wasn't that drunk, and I just bent the cards and forced at him. I went, I'm an illusionist, and I just sprayed them all right into his face. all the girls thought it was funny, and so it panned out. But it was such a rude thing to do. Why did I do that?
Oh, so shitty, Taylor.
Yes.
And it was very heroic. And man, I cry on almost every single one of those stories, especially the ones on YouTube, because these old men who fought in Korea will be there, and it's just like that Band of Brothers thing when he's like, do it, Taylor. The whole thing.
My grandson asked me, Grandpa, were you a hero in the war? Grandpa said no. But I served in a company of heroes. And then it plays the sad music, and he's just this old man, and he'd had all these remarkable achievements, and he's so humbled by the sacrifice of his men.
Just you saying that brought back those memories, and I teared up. If you'd done it another time back to back, I'd have cried.
You guys,
it won't fit on your head.
You guys didn't even talk about how much you liked my new hat.
I love your hat.
I love you to
You
please
like
show
my new
your
hat?
hat. Yeah.
I love the deals that it comes along with.
My
How did
man.
it get that far away in the last 10
Taylor's
minutes?
been getting free
Hey.
Starbucks all
Please
week.
put it full screen.
Hey.
You guys don't like my new hat?
I love your new hat. You're
He
gonna
made
get
a-
discounts at AutoZone with that.
I wear
baby.
this to get discounts at
At
local
Subway.
restaurants.
They-
And so he sent me what has to be a 25-pound leg.
Oh my god! Of prosciutto?
you can't see it. It's all fucking fucked up.
I get
It's
the
a
idea.
Is that gonna last one? How many nights is that gonna last with you? That would last a week at my house. Slicing off
It
prosciutto
said-
all
it
night.
I saw a great opportunity. I went after it. Are you vaping on the air right now, bro?
I am.
It's
That's-
he's not getting high if that's what you're thinking.
No. I'm just very excited to see you vaping. It's very relaxing.
I
to
don't
watch-
approve, but
to watch you vape. You know that stuff's just as bad as the cigarettes, man.
Yeah, but not until like evidence comes
Right.
out.
Yeah, I
right.
need the evidence.
Yeah,
thank you, Mike.
Yeah, if
Did-
lung
now-
cancer happens in the woods and no one's
Till then, I'm gonna
and the
keep
study isn't
Failing those
published.
Eagle Energy power sticks because there's nothing wrong with them, folks. Nothing wrong with them at all.
I'm so hungry. I'm about to pass out.
Yeah,
No, you look like you fucking can't fucking lose a few pounds. Just relax. So it'll be all right.
I'm working towards it. You're fatter than I am.
I am. But I lost. Hey, listen, I went from 260, almost 260. I'm down to 225 today.
You're living in a glass house, my friend. This fat fuck
Taylor's
telling
not
you to
easy
lose
to push
weight.
around.
I better not catch you in prison, huh? I better not catch you 40 years ago.
I gotta shake this fucking guy. I see him on the street.
You do your best, bud. No, you better hurry up. Old age creeping in.
You're right. But if I get you
well,
from a
we're
walk,
all short on time here at DKA. So thank you, Larry, so very much for coming on tonight. I love your stories so very much.
Yeah, they were great.
But I have my own example of vigilante justice from last weekend.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody stand up straight. Get your collar on. Pop it. Taylor's got a story.
Yeah, that's so last weekend, me and my dad and my stepmom were driving down to meet up with a bunch of people, mostly family, for the Mizzou tailgate. It was one of the first tailgates, and we were all going there. And so it was supposed to be a fun day. My dad wakes me, or I get over there, and I sleep the whole way in the car until we get to the parking garage. And we quickly realize, as we're 6 levels up in this parking garage, like, shit, this place might be entirely full. And then we started seeing those cars come back around and pass us, and we're like, fuck, we're screwed. We're going to have to try and find somewhere else in the city. And then as we're taking one of those turns, we look straight ahead, and we see a tall, lanky college student and a recycling bin with like those 4 circles that you can put plastic cups and stuff into. And he was just standing right in the middle of a spot. And my dad stopped, like we're probably 30 feet from him. And my dad goes, is that just a regular spot? Like, Taylor, is that just a normal spot? And I kind of like looked around. I'm like, yeah, that's just a normal spot. And he goes, well, get out and move that kid. And I was like, okay. And so I opened the door in the back and I lean out and I'm like, hey, is that a handicap spot? Like, I was trying to be polite as a way of saying, like, hey, we're clearly interested in being in this spot that you're just standing in because you're disobeying the conduct of society right now. And he goes, no, it's not a handicapped. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to park there. And he goes, I can't, I'm saving it. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. And my dad said, he goes, Taylor, go move that kid in that trash can. And so I got out of the car. This guy's probably 3 inches taller than me, 4 inches taller than me, but very lean. I'm twice as broad as him. And I walk over to him and I'm like, dude, we're taking this spot. Like, that's the way this is going to go. It's going to happen. You can't just reserve spots like this. And he's like, I'm a pledge at a fraternity. I'm going to be in so much trouble if they don't let me save this spot. Please just don't take this spot. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I don't fucking care. And I started dragging away the recycling bin away out of the spot. And he grabbed the other side of it and like gave it a little tug. And I quickly was like, no. And I put it over to the side. And he's still standing there. And I'm like, dude, please move. We're going to park here. Like, that's the way it's going to go. And he's like, oh, I bet you feel like you're a big guy right now, bullying someone who's, a freshman in college. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to be in this position. This is uncomfortable as shit. There are people, mind you, this is before a giant football game in an SEC school. So we are not alone in this parking garage. Lots of people walking around as this is happening. And the guy, I give him like a very gentle, like push of the arm, not a shove, just like trying to usher him out, like a crowd out of the way to let my dad pull in safely. And he bucks up and he gets all, I'm not moving. You're this is ridiculous. I'm going to be in so much trouble. He kept yelling that. I'm going to be in so much trouble if you take this spot from me. I have to reserve it for my frat. And I was like, no, you don't get to just reserve spots in public places. That's not how this works. And so I bear grabbed the guy around him and I pulled him to the side of the spot. And I thought that was enough because then my dad started inching forward and I was like, okay, the kid knows that he's been beaten. And so I let him go and he sprints back into the spot right up against my dad's bumper as my dad's like 2 feet into this spot. And he's standing there, not letting my dad pull in all the way. And I was like, dude, come on. Like, I don't want to have to do this. You are making me do this right now. Like, you can't just reserve spots like this. And so I went over, I picked him up again as he struggled minimally, not a very strong gentleman. And I carried him over and then just held him for the next 6 seconds or so as my dad finished pulling in. And then I let him go, of course, because I don't actually want to be doing this. And he turns around at me and he's all, oh, I bet you feel like a big man. Bet you feel like a big man holding me while you take the spot. I'm like, no, dude, like, I just am here for a football game. Like, I don't want any of this. This is so uncomfortable. Do you not see how many fucking people are looking at us? And my dad and my stepmom are still getting out of the car. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm real glad I know where you parked. And then I had like a public like freak out on the guy to the point that I could tell it was like when a dad yells at a kid how scared he was, where like it was resonating through the parking garage. And I'm like, did you just fucking threaten me? Did you just threaten my property in this parking garage? Are you fucking kidding me? What fraternity are you in? What's your name? What's your name? And he's like, dude, settle down, dude. Like, I'm not gonna do anything to your car. I'm not gonna do anything to your car. I promise. I'm like, oh, after you threaten me, do I need to make sure you go down there and stay away from this car? And my dad got out and he walks up and he goes, click, click. He goes, all right, now I know who to talk about if anything happens to this car. And then took a picture of the guy. And then I just grabbed the cooler and left. And that was it. It was
that's vigilante justice, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hate that. I didn't know that was a real thing. I've seen that, like, YouTube videos of that, of like those people who do that, who try to stand in a parking space. It's not like a seat at the movie theater. You can't do that. These are for vehicles.
Dude,
and
it's rude to on a busy day just say, oh, I'm going to save this parking spot. I can just save this like it's a seat at the movies or a restaurant. Like, no, dude, that's not how society works. You don't just get to save parking spots for your friend, your drunk idiot frat boy friend to show up later. If I have to carry you away, that's the way it's going to be. But we're getting this spot.
Do you think you would have freaked out on him as much if it weren't for, you know, your cycle that you're on? Do you think that you got a little bit of roid rage? Maybe, maybe
that could be it. You know, I so roided up when my dad said, hey, get that guy out of the spot. I just thought, oh, this is what we play for. Get out, slam it.
Having not been to church in 10 years, like as he was given the sermon on Easter and all that, I was just like, oh yeah, I know what he's going to say next. I know the plan. I know what you're gonna say. I know. Do you have the rectifier? You're coming in next. Yeah. Can your financial institution find the way into my pocket? I am tax exempt. Yeah. He was,
that's when he does the 360s with his hands there.
The Democrats would get smashed, but I would vote for this policy if they were like, you know what? Churches are for-profit businesses. They sell bullshit for cash. You can tax that. I'd be so on board.
Or and the whole reason they don't do it is because they're like,
as to what could be considered a church. Because if this little organization here could be considered a church, then keep it up. This
ties in to something I wrote down on my topic sheet for the evening. Is that the Satanic Church just achieved tax exemption from the U.S. government. And if they can do it, why can't we? Why can't we make the case that we're preaching our own word?
Do you believe that Kyle would like another car?
Do you believe that Taylor wants his mortgage paid off? Do you believe it?
There's no early payoff penalty. That's right. No penalty. Can you feel the power? Can you
feel the no early payment penalty? Can you feel it?
That's because it ain't there.
Can you feel my financial security improving with every dollar you drop in that plate? Can you feel it? I can feel it. Do you feel it, sir? Are you feeling the Lord in you? Are you feeling the Lord in you? That's the way you would do it to manipulate, especially, is you would call out individual people, put them on the spot. Yes. They'll either have to fake it or not fake it.
Every dollar you give to BKA is 2 more in your pocket. That's right. Woo! It'll come right back to you.
Every dollar you give, you get a bottle of holy water. Now you pour that holy water all over your bills and you throw those bills away because those collectors, they ain't coming. They ain't coming. No, this is literally a thing. I think it was like something Popov was his last name. He was this scam artist piece of fucking shit who took advantage of people who just wanted a better life for themselves. And he would sell people holy water. Yep. And then he would have testimonials. Where it was someone like, I ordered Jimmy Popoff's holy water and all my bills disappeared. they started sending me checks in the mail instead. All my power's free now. And like literally that level of lies and duplicitousness with these pastors. Like what these people do isn't just not Christian, it's fucking evil. Those pastors out there, if Christianity is real, guess what? You're burning in the lowest depths of hell. The lowest depths. You're a false prophet. You're a piece of human shit.
That's
like,
how I feel about
anyone.
Policemen that rape and like do bad shit too. Like
luckily all this shit's made up. So buy Kyle's miracle water today.
It may say Dasani, but it's got the word of the Lord.
It's just you don't even repackage it.
Are you cursed with pepperoni nipples so large and disgusting you can't bear to look at them? You just put a little Kyle's miracle Dasani on them big old nasty nipples and they'll shrink down and be sexy.
I am not part of that. I have nothing to do with that.
That's right. What is not attached to the big pepperoni nipples?
Do you have a 3.5-inch dick hard? Well, then why don't you try fucking a bottle of Dasani holy water? Your dick will get so big it'll get stuck in the bottle, so pull it out quick. Oh, Lord, I feel the dick growing energy inside of me. The Lord your God, Jesus Christ, had the biggest penis the world has ever seen.
Your dick would get stuck in the bottle if it worked. You'd have a real problem
that's
on
how
your
you
hand.
know it worked.
Well, that's part of the joke.
That's right.
That's right. I want to keep doing pastor voice.
Oh, your dick will be so big and your nipples so tiny, you won't believe your eyes.
Does your bitch have some big ass nipples? Put your hand up. Put your hand up if your bitch has some big ass nipples. I see a lot of hands. I see a lot of hands in the house tonight. You want some Dasani holy water? Get those nipples little. Say, Lord, give me those little nipples. Lord, give me those little nipples.
Give it to me, Lord. Itty bitty nipples, give them to me, Lord.
Ghost nipples. Itty bitty ghost nipples.
Woo! Ghost nipples in the house, Lord. I feel the power of the Holy Ghost.
No, these are Holy Ghost nipples.
Oh, that's so dumb.
I don't care if it hurts your feelings.
Let's get Woody's dad on the show about our interpretation of this epistemology.
Like remembering all this stuff from school and like the bake sale reminds me of when I was a junior in high school. There was this like they had this like bullshit like cult, like if you were in Spanish or Spanish 2 or whatever, it was like Culture Day, and it was meant to be one of those things where like an easy grade boost where they're like, all right, we're gonna you get assigned a South American country and you have to bring like a dish from that or something, and everyone just did like boilerplate bullshit like
Mexican
tortilla
corn,
chips and Mexican street corn, like tacos, like all of it was very normal stuff. And there was this one bit of a weirdo. He was a senior, a year older than me, and he was a very popular, like he was a popular kid, like state champion wrestler, like or like in the top couple, like very, very good, like very popular, like, and so you wouldn't have expected this from him. And he got assigned Peru or Brazil or something. And this motherfucker went to Petco and bought a guinea pig.
No.
Because in Peru, they eat guinea pigs. And he murdered, skinned, and cleaned, and then brought a guinea pig dish to school to feed his classmates.
This doesn't happen in New Jersey.
And as soon as it like got wind that like, because he was telling people laughing, he's like, yeah, I got a guinea pig. And I remember people being like, did you fucking hear what Jared did? Like, he went to fucking Petco and killed a guinea pig for this. And we were like, dude, this is like, I get he's like, it's kind of funny, but this is fucked up, dude. Like, I can't believe he slaughtered a guinea pig as soon as Miss Johnson, whoever it was, like heard about that. She like came in, confiscated the food, so the death was in vain. And and like if anything, let the people eat the food, like so his death wasn't in vain. But yeah, he did get in trouble for. I guess it's illegal to go to Petco and buy something for the purpose of slaughtering it and creating food. Are
you gonna call the FDA? Fuck you.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, dumbass?
Yeah,
I bought it. I wasn't
You know
going
what?
to eat it.
This is perfect. We have an attorney here. This was some bullshit some teacher told me, and I've been buying it.
Yeah,
of
right.
course it's not illegal to buy a guinea pig and eat it.
We have the FBI running DNA tests on the poo bandit right now. You believe everything those fucks tell you?
I'm a true fool.
Yeah, I can't like. Well, you can't go to PetSmart and buy an animal to eat. Why the fuck not? Like,
it could be animal cruelty. He killed it with a shovel.
Okay, that one. I mean,
I don't even know what's the proper method.
Yeah, how did he shovel it to death? Did he smash it with a shovel?
You strangle it while you look in its eyes.
So when you read the proper methods, they use they use a bit of legalese to describe hitting something in the head hard or removing the head from the body. Or they'll also use oftentimes CO2 is a fair way to neutralize livestock for those purposes. So if you did any of that stuff, you get around it. I know I've seen some of that paperwork, and it's like, yeah,
I'm looking at pictures.
we just hit him in the head.
Have you guys seen this shit? It's amazing. It's a little fried guinea pig. It's the whole damn thing, but it looks like a piece of chicken.
It's like they love it in Peru. I just checked. It's Peru.
How do you eat it?
It's called cuy. It's deep fried.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or roasted.
I did not try any.
I kind of want it like Chinese food, like little pieces of meat, like in Chinese, like a stir fry. You know, some veggies and peanuts or something in there too.
Yeah. He didn't leave it on the body. He made it.
Oh, fuck off.
That's how it looks.
That is not how it looks. That has ears.
That has ears. That's every picture. I'm not even joking.
Bro, it has ears. That's
guinea pig.
Its last thought was,
Wait a minute. Is this fucking for real? I thought it was a joke.
Okay,
that one's roasted.
It's not a joke.
No,
Taylor,
this actually does not look like a joke. But like, what he did not cook it like this. He like did almost like pulled chickenish kind of looking stuff. That's why they didn't immediately know that he used.
Well, of course you don't just bring the carcass in like
until he bragged about it.
Look, I don't want to dog on it. Peru, was it?
Peru.
Yeah.
That they're gonna have to work on that one.
It's almost as bad as eating.
If you're national, I'm okay with your national dish being rat, but y'all got to figure out a better way to prepare that shit.
That is fucking disgusting. It's
often
got teeth. They've all got teeth.
What would you feel better if they pulled the teeth out, Taylor?
Yes, they cut the heads off and turn it into chicken and make something nice.
Dude, who gets my rat head then? I'm not paying full price.
Dude, I'll trade you my rat head any day of the week.
Who's the scoundrel running off with my rat head? I'm over here paying 89 euro or whatever.
You know that there's some like old grandfather in Peru who like swears that the teeth are the best part. Yeah.
Get the heads.
The same way like my grandpa who was fucking in poverty on a farm, like he still maintains that like pig feet are so delicious. Which I don't want to try that. I'm sure it's fine.
Look, all that connective tissue when you cook it down is very savory.
Guinea pig.
That's a restaurant?
Yeah. It's a restaurant in Peru advertising their guinea pig.
Can't even bother to like Photoshop the hat well.
No, it's like one of those Andes mountain caps. Like, oh man.
Dude, there is a very specific but somehow difficult to articulate aesthetic to South American photoshopped ads. Do you know what I mean? There's something about it. If I were playing GeoGuessr and there was a South American ad, it's because they're still really into
I
gold.
can tell you tried medium.
Yeah, you tried medium. That shit is so gross. You should not eat guinea pigs.
I wouldn't mind eating that at all.
You go go down to Peru and you can just get it. It's all over the place. It's apparently very good. That's what everybody says.
I bet it's good for you.
It is good, but as long as there's not like come on, take the fucking teeth out of there.
Well, you don't eat the teeth.
Then get rid of them.
Look, what if someone said that about crab? Like, Jesus, get it out of that fucking big cockroach first and put it on a platter for me.
All right, check in, mate. You're right.
A lot of the ways I'm seeing is they shove a stick through the mouth of the guinea pig and they roast it on the stick, so that you just like that's how I would
like an ear of corn.
It. Yeah,
you eat like an ear of corn. I got spine.
You know that like dudes are like, how many you want? 2 or 3. You know that's the kind. It's like chili dogs there. They're like how many?
You wouldn't just eat one if you're gonna eat it.
And I bet there's a restaurant that has their own little spin where it's like, we cook the little ones. You get a sack full. That's how we get them. Like instead of Crystal or Jack in the Box, they say
it's like the veal version. They just hold.
The little jalapeno rat poppers, but it's the little pink rats that
You
have
just
been,
hold a
like, fried
pregnant
up.
guinea pig over a vat of grease and squeeze.
All right, well, I
Just
hate that idea.
like 55,
Like, we've gone too
milliseconds
far
of
now.
life before you fall in.
Well, I don't want to eat. I think I'd eat it. I think I'd be okay with it. I don't mind. I'm up for most things.
Would you eat
I don't.
that Filipino thing, balut, where they let the
duck.
chick
Oh, that's
start to
gross,
develop
man.
in the egg?
It's a duck embryo.
Or duck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's disgusting. When I was like, it was me and both of my younger brothers in the back of a van, and my mom was driving, and this was like, I was probably like 13, 14, and so my brothers were like 12 and 6 or 7, and we were driving, and we were both in the back seat. There must have been something in the front, so we couldn't sit in the shotgun. And we sat down, or we stopped at a stoplight, and I think it was me. I farted, and it was absolutely rancid. But it wasn't rancid enough. And mind you, it's snowing outside. It's very it's very snowy outside. And my mom in our Honda Odyssey, she goes, "Oh, Taylor!" And then she opens both doors with the button. We're in the line in traffic, and I can still remember sitting in that captain's seat like, "Mom!" I'm like shivering, and the girl in the van next to me is looking over, pointing and laughing at us because we're all sitting in a van where there's now flurries of snow flying through that chasm that is the van with both doors open. And I remember just like her starting to pull away, and when you're driving, the doors don't close. And so we were just driving for the next like half mile, like, "Mom, close the door! The girl's laughing at us." And she's like, "I can't close it, Taylor. I can't close it. It's stuck. We're driving. We can't close it." And so we drove like multiple miles as I'm sitting there with my brothers, like, as snow is flying into the car. And it was really embarrassing. I've never seen that girl since in that car,
Well,
but
that's good.
her point and laugh to 12-year-old me in that car, that hits the core.
How old was she?
Probably about my age, probably.
Okay.
12 or
That's
so.
that's even worse. A peer.
A colleague of mine observed this and put it out on the Slack channel.
We heard
Yeah.
your mom's van doesn't even have doors.
Dude, she was driving me in that van to a football game once in just a slight, like maybe 20 minutes away from where we lived at the time, and we got in, and the coach had it with late players to games. And so he had told, this was 8th grade, he'd told the whole team, he was like, "Anyone who shows up late will not play. I'm over it. Show up when the game starts." Because it was 8th grade, the parents didn't give a shit. And I remember it was
as they
grade.
shouldn't. No one should give a shit.
No one should give a shit. We did not have a big team. And so I played place kicker, extra point kicker, occasional cornerback, sometimes wide receiver, O-line, and linebacker. I played a lot of things because we didn't have very many people. And as we're driving, my mom, we were late, and so she was trying to run a red, and we get sideswiped by a car, and it demolishes this person's Mustang and just kind of fucks up the back of our Honda Odyssey. And I remember sitting there being like, "Oh, coach is gonna be so mad." and then I got there to the game after all this was settled and everything, and we drive there and we get there, and he's like, "Taylor, where have you been?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, coach. I was in a car accident on the way here." and he looked at me and he goes, "Jesus Christ."
Of course.
And he was like, "Well, you can still play, yeah." You were.
You
in a
probably
car
shouldn't,
accident?
but
Are you okay? Because
so
I was sitting on the side that got hit by the car, and I remember I was just kind of sitting there dreading it, and they just boom, just slammed real hard. But yeah, he immediately let me take the field as soon as I told him I was in a car accident.
Yeah, of course.
7 minutes ago, my mom's minivan was struck by a Mustang. I'm still a little rattled, so if I'm bad at football,
Mom ran every red light here until that Mustang hit us. I'm so sorry, coach. She's a dumb bitch.
I may have mentioned this a while ago on the show. You saying, "Is it bad?" reminded me. Did I tell you about what a friend of mine encountered, this old woman in his old apartment parking lot who got injured, and he saw. So basically,
this happened a few years ago, and one of my close friends, shout out Matt, and he was telling us all this story, and he lived on the second floor of this apartment building, and it was just a small, like, second floor and first floor, and it was a very snowy day, of December or something, and he said there was this, like, really nice old lady that lived near him, and just, like, in passing would say hello and all that, and he said he was going out to leave one day, and he sees this woman like struggling to get to her car, and so he like takes her and like walks her up to the like handle and all that shit to like get her there, and then he says he turns around and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much, Matthew, I appreciate it." And he's like, "Oh, no problem, ma'am, take care, be careful out there, roads are dangerous." And he said he turned around and started walking to his car, and he heard a sickening crack.
Oh,
and this old woman had fallen, and he doesn't handle blood and stuff very well. And so he said that she had fallen and compound fractured, like shattered her leg right there in between two cars. And he walked back to check, and he says he had to like hold on to the car because he started to feel like he was going to vomit because she was all like crumpled up like a dead spider with a shattered leg there. And it stuck with me and made me laugh because he was standing there and he goes, and like I was just trying to think like, how do I keep it from being so horrible? And so she kept yelling, she kept going, "Oh, Matt, is it bad? Is it bad?" And I just kept looking at her and going, "No, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not that bad." And so I had to call an ambulance and have them go there. And so I was like dry heaving, trying not to vomit as her leg was shattered, and she kept screaming, "Is it bad?" And dude, guys, it was so bad. And I kept telling, so like, yeah, he said he didn't see her anymore. So I guess
Matt, you suck.
he got her to the handle.
I bet Matt. You know what? I'm gonna make a business. I bet Matt doesn't throw things well either.
I'll have to check with him.
If you had Matt throw you a baseball at the beginning of your friendship, you'd have weeded out someone who's not.
That'd have been a grounder.
I bought this is in the past, but when I was 16, I was still. I'm 25. I'm still in the midst of this. My Lord of the Rings obsession. That they made 500 replica Witch King helmets. The Witch King. The Witch King was the Lord of the Nazgul. If you don't know who they are, they had. The
side of you haven't seen before, tell me.
I could list some of the Nazgul right now, but they had this. The Witch King had this giant helm that you'll see in the movies
the Witch King of Angmar.
The Witch King of Angmar. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Witch King of Angmar, and he had this giant helmet, and I bought it, and it was something that I had it bought for me rather. And when you put it on, it was heavy. Like, it was fucking heavy. It was something that only a mighty man could wear while he was fighting. And I went to college, didn't think about it. I just thought, when I go home, my Witch King of Angmar helm will still be on its display case above my bed, because that's where it was. When I slept in my big bed, I had a queen size bed, and it had a big like kind of armoire style thing around it, and it had a big shelf behind the bed, and I had my Witch King of Angmar head right there. And I was like, all right, I don't need to bring that to college. I don't want to turn off the girls right away. I'll slowly introduce them to my Lord of the Rings obsession.
I can just imagine you like bringing the girl back to your dorm room and be like you put it on and be like, what do you think? She's like, I think I should grab my pepper spray really discreetly right now.
But that was basically it. I had that helmet. I went to college. I came back. I didn't. If it happened before this, I didn't notice it. But I came back that winter break, my freshman year. And I went into my room and I looked up there and I didn't really think of anything of it. I wasn't looking for it. And, slept a couple nights before I realized,
where's the
I
Witch
had
King?
something over here. I had a Witch King helmet. Yeah, where the hell is my Witch King of Angmar helmet?
I'm like the Witch King.
And so I went and asked my younger brother and was like, where is my Witch King helmet, you dick? You know where it is, asshole. And he was like, oh, yeah, my friend was playing with that. I don't know where it is. Maybe in your closet. And I was like, maybe in my closet. Okay. So I go back. I check my closet. I find my Witch King of Angmar, one of 500 This isn't one of those bullshit like, oh, we'll make a new one like and call it one of 500 every 2 months to trick idiots into buying it. This was an actual one of 500 because there are very few people willing to pay $700 for a Witch King helmet. And so I got it. I had it there. I went into that closet and I was honestly like distraught when I saw it sitting there, totally broken, totally ruined. All the spines that came out of it, obviously it's some kind of plaster. Yeah, the big ones are on the head. It's made of some kind of plaster, but inside it's just a metal bar holding that up, holding that little bit of plaster up. And like the 3 inches between the tip and the bottom part of every single helmet spike was broken off. So it was just a metal bar going from the helmet ring up into like a weak little pinnacle at the top. And I was honestly so fucking upset by that I don't think I talked to anyone in my family for a day or two because I was like, how could you have let this happen? You know that I love Lord of the Rings and that this was my favorite Lord of the Rings possession. Fuck the Gimli axe and all that. This is my Lord of the Rings obsession. And they let it go by the wayside and they ruined it. And oh my God, even thinking about this pisses me off because I wish I still fucking had this. This is something that could have lasted. It could have lasted. I could have given it to my grandkids and said, hey,
you could put it on right now.
To be autistic in the future, wear this. Like
Do you have it right now? Does it exist in your apartment?
No, it's thrown away years ago because it was ruined to the point of no repair. Like there was no way to fix it.
I mean, like the other ways we ordered was like me and Kyle walking into that place high out of our mind. I remember walking into that Applebee's and thinking I'm so high I can barely function, and then walking next to my buddy Kyle and him being even higher than me and being like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. And then we got in there and Kitty, like I've said this before about her. Kitty is a god.
Kitty is a guardian.
Kitty is a guardian. That's a great way to put it. She got in there and she immediately went, we will have 2 of every appetizer. Perfect. That's what everyone needed. There was no way 1 order of skins was going to get around that table. We needed 2 orders of skins for everyone to get one, and it was tremendous. That was the night that we were sitting down, and me and TmarTn were sitting next to each other. We were very, very young at the time. I was 19, he was 18 or whatever it was, and we were like, "Hey, let's give each other our phones, and we'll tweet from each other's phone." And like I was baked out of my mind. And I thought it was like really funny. And so I just tweeted from his account. I was like, I'm high out of my mind at the Logan Steakhouse, wherever the fuck we were, Applebee's. I'm high out of my mind at Applebee's. And I tweeted that. And he tweeted Twitter. And like on TmarTn's Twitter. And he had my Twitter, which was like way more accustomed to nonsense. And he said something like super friendly, like, we're here having fun with friends, LOL. and then, like, we handed it back to each other.
Like, family, friends, and God forever.
Family, friends, and God forever. And then, like, we handed it back to each other.
TmarTn's mom follows him on
Yeah. TmarTn's mom follows. I remember that. I remember handing it back to him and him like there.
So that's happening at their end of the table. All right. On my end of the table, this is dawning on us a little. News travels very slowly across the stone table. Me, Kelly, and White Boy are down here in our little group, and we look up, and I think Alex, White Boy, is the one who was like, "Is TmarTn crying?" And I went, "Shit, man." The fuck happened down there? TmarTn's fucking crying, dog. I was like, Kelly, look. TmarTn's crying. I was like, maybe there's a joke. No, those are real tears. He's crying, huh? And then I'm like, hey, why's TmarTn crying? I don't know who was next to me. I wish I could remember because they were both to my left. But like, word got down to us that Taylor had gotten a hold of TmarTn's Twitter.
He said it would be a funny idea, and I went funny with it, and then he didn't go funny with it, and then I handed him his phone back, and he saw what I tweeted from his account, and he was like, "Oh my God, my mom follows this."
Dude, he was like
chill out, man. And like I saw my account.
He was like 15 or something.
No, he was 17. All right, because we're the same age, but it doesn't matter. He was like
the most business centric of all of us. So he was like, I'm never gonna be able to lease a home. Like you would just ruin his like homeland ownership vibe. Yeah, it was so good.
That was funny as fuck.
I'd like to get him back on the show.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to.
I think he would.
But
I don't
like
know. It
T-Mart.
can't hurt to ask, you know?
T-Mart, shout out to T-Mart. I'm sorry about doing that with your phone. I thought it would be funny at the time.
Should have gave me your phone.
And in retrospect, it was funny both at the time and now.
I bet right now.
I'm not sorry.
So I'm not sorry too much.
And like I'm gonna go ahead and say, like not to throw anybody under the bus or anything, because like it's just people react the way they react, and like Taylor fucked up in that moment. It was like super shitty what Taylor did.
I thought it was funny and like a silly little thing.
But it's funny that it all played out that way.
I was if I were to tweet this from my account, I wouldn't care. It wouldn't bother me. Like I thought I was being silly.
What was great is Woody let Taylor know that it was a real shitty thing that he had done.
Woody did. He did let me know, and I remember being like, I just thought I was memeing, man. Like I thought I was being a silly jokester. That's kind of my MO.
A real rapscallion,
Taylor,
you know?
A real no good Nick.
Somehow Taylor ended up down there with Woody and Kitty. Not that they're not fun, but they're not stoned. and so like
I
now
was probably more judgmental at the time than I am today.
Fuck it. No, we were.
It doesn't matter.
Look, guys, everybody's at water under the bridge. You know, we're all doing
I don't
great.
give a shit what anybody
You
thinks.
guys got podcasts. T Martin's got lawsuits. We're all here.
Wait, he does?
No, I was making a CS:GO Lotto joke.
Yeah.
Battle those.
I've got a couple things I'm interested in. One of which is a conspiracy theory that I looked into this week and I couldn't get enough of because it was so important that, well, I'll just get into it. So this conspiracy purports that Long John Silver's, the fast food seafood restaurant, has never been about seafood. It's been a marijuana laundering drug business the entire time.
You have my attention.
So buckle up. This is important. First of all, ask yourself, have you ever seen a very crowded Long John Silver's?
I have.
You haven't. You're lying. There's never been. There used to be a Long John Silver's around here. It was the only fast food place that I was like, oh, I can go there because there's no line. I'm in a hurry because
I prefer
no
Captain
one.
D's.
No, everyone does.
It's easier to go to the moon than to fake a crowded Long John Silver's, I've heard.
Yeah. See, so with that in mind, there's never been a huge line at a Long John Silver's ever. So, and I've got the whole epic written out. So the history is that Long John Silver's started in 1969 in Lexington, Kentucky, from a man named Jim Patterson, and he wanted to have a seafood restaurant, a popular seafood restaurant. That's what he wanted to do, and he wanted to do it fast food because no one had kind of stormed, that no one had done that yet. And so he's like, all right, 1969, fucking, we're starting our seafood fast food restaurant in Lexington, Kentucky. Never quite takes off. Meanwhile, there was a moonshining family only a few miles away that had made a fuck ton of money during Prohibition. But after Prohibition ended, they were struggling, and they were kind of, their ganghold on the area, ganghold, who knows how big it was in Lexington or in the surrounding areas. Big. It was, maybe, they were starting to lose their hold because income wasn't coming in as quickly. The guy's name was Johnny Boone. And Johnny Boone was the descendant of those moonshiners, the child of them, and he wanted to get his criminal enterprise back up. And so he decided, I'm going to get into marijuana. And so he started the Cornbread Mafia out of Lexington, Kentucky, which was all about bringing weed in, selling it, and making a bunch of money. And they did that for years. And eventually it got to the point where it's like, well, we can't launder this through little, locally owned gas stations and shit or laundromats anymore. It's not going to work. We need to find someone we can launder this through. Who do they find? Jim Patterson, the owner of Long John Silver's. They go, Jim, we got a lot of money. We know that your little seafood restaurant is struggling. How about we help you expand a little bit? And so for the next 20 years, Long John Silver's is expanding across the country. None of them have ever been busy. None of them are serving fish. It's all Johnny Boone's weed money coming in, laundering through Long John Silver's, and then they get it back. And so they both agreed to it. Jim Patterson is exploding. Long John Silver's is expanding all over the place. Meanwhile, everybody's saying, it's not a very busy place. Food's not very good. That's what people are saying. Ask anyone. And and so the pot is making so much money, and Long John Silver's is spreading so quickly that Johnny Boone becomes the godfather of grass in the South in the 80s. And so in the mid-80s, the FBI starts looking into Long John Silver's and into Johnny Boone. And they catch Johnny Boone between 87 and 91. That's when the investigation was, and 91 is when they finally nabbed him up. And so they nab him up, they put him in prison, but the cornbread mafia doesn't want to stop. They're rolling. They've got lots of pot money. They've got so much pot money that they sponsored commercials for local politicians going against heroin, because heroin was getting big at the time, and they wanted the public perception of heroin to be heroin's evil, heroin's bad, heroin will give you AIDS, because the 80s AIDS scare, and associating anything with AIDS in the 80s was a death sentence. And so they were associating heroin with AIDS as much as possible, and that did successfully for a little while in certain regions slow down heroin consumption. And what did that do? Boost up marijuana consumption. And that helps the cornbread mafia a lot. And so the crux of this is that Long John Silver's has never, ever been popular. They've never independently turned a profit, and it was the cornbread mafia, initially led by Johnny Boone, that is responsible for the few remaining Long John Silver's. And look this up. Look at how many locations they've closed. You know why? In the last couple of decades, why they've closed so
legalization
many is because marijuana legalization and the dissolving of much of the cornbread mafia. So all of these things, I'm not saying to believe it. I'm just saying everything I just said is absolute fact.
Yeah, none of that's true.
No, that's true. I read it online.
The thing about the restaurant not being crowded is true, and that's the foundation of all of it.
Well, the real problem is that fried fish isn't very healthy, and that's not what people are after. And there's a competitor called Captain D's, which is just superior. I don't know if you've ever had the deviled crab at Captain D's, but
I think my 6th generation long weed smuggling laundering train is a little more Occam's razor.
I want to talk more about this deviled crab because my mouth's watering just thinking about it. It's delicious. Fast food crab.
Had great seafood today. You should have.
I want more. I want more. I'm going back tomorrow. I'm going back fucking tomorrow and getting some more of that.
Where did you go today?
It was just this hole in the wall place that was. I've driven past it every day, and I thought they sold like fresh seafood. I was going to go in there and buy some crab to cook at home, but they did like Low Country Boil in there, and so Low Country Boil is like crab and sausage and corn on the cob and a potato, and I think that was all there was. And it's like covered with like that Old Bay spicy shit and like melted butter. It was incredible. I'm getting a double order tomorrow. Today I just got like one cluster of crab, one potato, one piece of corn, and half a sausage. Tomorrow, double all of that.
I had a real uncomfortable thing happen to me today that I know has probably happened to somebody before, but it's never happened to me. Is I was in an office building taking a shit. It was like a big building where there's like lots of different bathrooms. It wasn't like I went into one area where there's just one stall. It was like a public bathroom, and I went to take a shit, and so I was in there, and there was nobody in there. So of course I took the handicapped space, and as I'm in the middle, actually no, I'm wrapping up. I hear the door open, and I hear the sound of wheels, and I'm like, must be a janitor or something. You know how they'll walk in sometimes and like wheel their shit in and be like, oh, somebody's using it, and then they'll leave. And then I noticed after another second, I'm like, that sounds like an electric janitor scooter or something. What could that possibly be? And I was sitting in there, and then like I saw the sound got closer, and I saw the shadow of wheels underneath where I was shitting.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, I don't even know what to do. Like, I can't leave here in an empty bathroom and be like, no, I was just shitting where you need to. Sorry, I didn't want to be in the other one.
Is there a window in the stall that you can climb out?
No, I could see
it's
underneath
an office building.
where his wheels were. And so I looked under there, and then I started hearing like a struggling noise. He had started opening the stall adjacent to me, the small one, for non-crippled folks. And so he opened that, and I was like, at this point, it's been about like 15, like I've been done shitting for like a minute, and I'm waiting for him to get all the way in there. And so I can like try and make an escape. And he gets like what I think is all the way in, because I look under and I see like, okay, there are shoes there. They're standing, so I don't know what the deal with that is. Like this guy, you know. And so I start to open my outward door. Can't open it because his chair is there. And now I'm looking through a gap at his chair, and all I can see is him standing in the stall, struggling like a crippled person would, trying to get it worked out. And I literally, before he could turn back around, I slinked my body like through the gap and like quick walked out of there and was just like, sorry, and left.
Slinking through double proved you were not crippled. It didn't belong in that stand.
It did. I did not belong in there, but I couldn't even face the poor guy. Like I just had to yell like a meek, I'm sorry, as I didn't even wash my hands. I literally left and was like, I'll deal with E. coli. Hopefully that's not my own shit. That would be a wake up call. But I felt so bad. Usually uncomfortable situations make me kind of laugh. But no, that was. So here's a lesson to take home: is those aren't just comfy spaces for you to poop. They actually make those for people who need more space to poop.
Who knew that?
Is this going to stop me? Is this going to stop me in the future? No, because I like my power grip. Like I like being able to really force it.
You take a wide stance.
I take a wide stance. I put both my feet up on top of the toilet bowl like this, and then I just shit down into it. A lot of splatter, a lot of spray. But that's the way people pooped in the wild. Did you know that?
That's true.
That you're meant to squat. And so really we make fun of China and India for being, a couple thousand years behind, and we should. But because our way is better. But it is technically the way you're supposed to poop.
I know Woody has asked before, like, hey guys, go rate the podcast on iTunes because it helps us out and it helps the show and everything. And that's definitely true. A couple days ago, someone I work with who is like probably early 60s or something was like something came up and they're like, oh, and you do your podcast, like at the end of a meeting kind of thing. And they were like, can you do that podcast thing? I was like, yeah, I do the podcast. I've done it for so long. And they do the thing that I dread in my professional life, which is pull their phone out and go, help me find it. And I'm like, all right, go to iTunes and enter in Painkiller already, because I don't want to show them the YouTube version.
Painkiller, like an aspirin.
Yeah, and so he took it out and he searched it up and he found Painkiller already on iTunes, and apparently there are a few new reviews that people have left there, and one of them says, and he was reading it out loud. He's like, I'm so thankful to Woody and Kyle that despite Taylor's developmental disorders, they're willing to employ him on the show. He's reading this. There's still other people in the room who I work with. Not like every day, but people I have connections. I email every so often, like that kind of thing. And he's like, why are they saying that? Like, you're on the show with them, right? And I'm like, yeah, it was a meme cropped up that I'm mentally retarded. And so that explains that. And I was expecting him to like not get it entirely. He busted a gut about the prospect of a bunch of people on the internet saying that I was mentally retarded and writing it into iTunes reviews. So thanks, guys. Thanks for that. More reviews like that needed. Pump up our iTunes rating. It always helps. So thanks, fellas. That could have gone one of two ways, and it went the good way. So,
whenever they're like, help me find it. And I'm like, no, my podcast isn't for good people like you. We tell bad jokes about bad people. And
no, bad jokes about good people sometimes.
Yeah,
like solid people. Like my grandparents refuse to look for it. They don't know what it's called. And I love that about them. Yes. Grandma says, I just don't, I know what the kind of, I can only assume the kind of things you're saying on there. And I don't want to hear my grandson saying those things. It's like, Grandma, I love you. Just continue to not know what the internet is.
However, if your grandparents saw how you talked about them on the show, they would feel warm inside.
They would, but they'd have to sift through 100 bogs of shit to come across one of those.
You got to go knee deep in raccoon shit to get all the way to the part where Taylor is thankful for their delicious meals and his grandfather's, good times on the farm and all that stuff. Yeah. You got to go all kind of talk about brothers and.
I got a thing.
My youngest brother. I can't believe I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the show. We had like field day kind of, how every school has like gay ass field day shit where you go and do whatever.
This is like middle school.
Yeah, like middle school or high school.
Okay.
And but everyone in the in the high school is invited and everything. It doesn't matter if you're freshman, senior, whatever.
Right.
And they would have those, and like the families would come out because there would be like the school football game and such, and and everybody wanted to see it. And so there were little booths that you could go to and play games and buy. And there was one that sold goldfish. And I told my youngest brother at one of those, I was maybe 18 at the time. He was probably 9 or something. And I was like, hey, you should eat one of those goldfish. And so I bought him the goldfish, and then he swallowed it whole. He put it in his mouth and just sucked the whole goldfish down. I got a huge kick out of it. All my friends got a huge kick out of that. Later in the day, where I'm talking to one of my friends' parents who had an even younger daughter, maybe 6 years old. And he was like, fucking Susie bought a goldfish. We don't even have anything. I don't want to go to Petco and buy a goldfish setup. That's ridiculous. Why did my wife let her buy this? And I was like, I've got a solution. And so I called my youngest brother over. I was like, hey, come over here. And I was like, hey, Susie, can you let him see your goldfish bag for a minute? And I'd already told him what to do.
How old are you?
I'm maybe 17.
Okay.
And so he takes the goldfish bag, tears it open. Water starts to pour out.
They're horrified already.
They're horrified. Little girl's probably trying to grab for it, but I was fixated on what he was doing. He reaches in, grabs the goldfish, and goes, and just swallowed it whole right in front of this little girl who had just bought a goldfish. And then she was crying back to her dad to be like, can I buy another goldfish? And he said no.
I bet he was low-key happy you solved his problem.
Wait, are you telling me your brother ate an actual live goldfish?
Twice.
That was the second one that he'd eaten that day, and he ate a third later because he'd realized that it got him attention. Because people were like, hey, like my friends, I told them that story, and they were like, hey, they came to my little brother and were like, hey, here's another goldfish. Will you eat this? And so he was like, yeah. he ate a third one. He ate 3 live. My youngest brother at a field day ate a bunch of live goldfish because I coaxed him into it and swallowed them all whole. And,
oh my God.
And he ended up being fine. So
and he ended up being fine
and full.
That's it. See, I have a good one where I was transitively an asshole, so I wasn't immediately affiliated with it. So we had this teacher in high school who was like legitimately going blind. Like he couldn't see light yellow. He couldn't see yellow very well at all. We would deftly play catch with tennis balls in his class while he was talking to us, and as long as they were brand new, catch it, throw it to someone else. He didn't know what was going on. We put a doll in a seat one day for a kid that was out, and it was like one of those blow up, it was not blow up, it was like a straw doll for like one of those field day things they were doing, and they put it there. And at one point he was like, Jared, care to comment? And it was like, nope, guess not. It's just like we just kept going on with the class, and that one just came back to me. This is the other one. Is we were supposed to do this. He made us turn in our essays had to be longer in that class because he couldn't read like the 12-point font as well. Really nice guy, but he made us do a big presentation on a piece of poster board, and it was like about some history shit, like maybe a Renaissance era, and we did it. We did everything correctly. We all did it as a group. I thought that it was going to go off without a hitch, just a regular presentation, boring. And the troublemaker in our group, who was selected to be the presenter, because there was only one person presenting and the other 2 people did the work. So it was like, all right, I can do this shit. You just don't fuck it up when you get up there. He had written in highlighter in the background of all the details of it so that all the kids could see it, just wrote, "You are a on the poster board in highlighter." And so he got up there and like my name's on this project. And so like, he got up and, like standing up there, and like me and my other mate are just like, oh Jesus Christ, we're so fucked, we're so fucked. This is gonna work. And he gave the whole presentation. Everybody's laughing. The teacher's just like, now the Baroque era isn't that funny. And it's like has no idea. But so I wasn't immediately associated with that, but it was really assholeish.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah, you're really taking advantage of
Blind
people
man
paying
tricks.
teacher.
That's a great
Yeah, he had to
story.
quit a
Next
couple
level
times.
stuff right there.
It sounds
Went
like you're
fine.
just perpendicular to assholishness, so I'll give you a pass on that one.
Oh, guys, late at night, you're watching my dumbass do impressions, and I start coming out of the screen. Oh, you can't. Oh, coming. Oh, coming. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna headbutt you. I'm gonna get you. Like a fat the ring. and then I get stuck in your TV.
So my girl and I were watching a movie, and she gets spooked. I don't think I've said this on the show. She gets spooked at like spiritual demons and
I don't think you've
ghouls
acknowledged her existence on the
and
show.
yeah, and we were watching this spooky. We're in a scary movie kind of fix right now because she gets very scared by them, and it's kind of funny to me. I only get scared by like the serial killer, or like really spooky, like someone might kidnap me and torture me or something. And she was getting scared by The Conjuring or something like that, something supernatural. And she was like wanting to get up and go to the bathroom. And she's like, "Will you walk me to the bathroom?" And I'm like, "It's 15 yards that way. You go to the bathroom. I'll pause the movie." And she's like, "I'm scared. I don't want to go. There could be demons or something." And I'm like, "Demons aren't real. We've talked about this. None of them are real. There are no goblins. There are no ghouls. Nothing's going to happen." And she's like, "Yes, there are. They're totally real. I know they're real." And I was like, "No, they're not. Watch. Satan, come into my heart. Come into my soul. Use me as a vessel. Use me for your will, Lord Satan. I invite you in all earnest. Please invite my soul." And I did something like that. And she was like, "Stop. Stop doing that. Stop inviting Satan." I'm like, "It's going to be fine. It's coming in. Like, I just invited him. You know, come on in, Satan. There's room for one more." Like, I bet if you come in, I'm going to be so successful, apparently. I'll be great looking. Like, come on. Let's have some fun here. You haven't traipsed around Earth for a while. What a better body. So she did not.
A little high on yourself. You're like Satan.
She was not as high on the comedy of that as I was.
When she came back from the bathroom, you totally should have been having a seizure, just flipping the fuck out, and then they come to and just walk them, just freak her out a little. Maybe grab one of those kettlebells, like pretend like you're gonna smash her.
Or to be doing just like Gregorian chants or something as she's in there from right outside.
Do you know any Latin? That would be the time.
No. Semper Fi. First time I got caught drinking and was going to get in trouble for it, I left my phone like playing music or something like that, and I got a text, and my mom checked it because it was playing music for like outside of the pool where my friends and I were, and because people were still coming over. And so she checked it, and she came out, and she was like, "Taylor, get up here." And I was like, "Oh, something's awry." And so I went up there and was like, "What's up?" And she's like, "You want to explain this to me?" And my friend had texted me like, "I'm on the way. I didn't forget to bring shot glasses this time, haha," or whatever. And I was like, "I don't know. You know, we were only going to drink a little bit." And she's like, "You tell all of your friends to go home right now." And so I had to tell my friends to go and like just sit in my room for a while and wait. And then my parents, my dad got home. They were going to give me a little talk. And it was like, they got home and they said, "We're going to talk to you about this tomorrow. We're going to talk about, to ourselves, a little parental communal meeting over this. And then we'll talk to you about it tomorrow." And I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'll just sweat this out and hope I'm not in too much trouble. I'll be going to college in like a year, I guess. So it's not too bad. They can't really get me." The next day, some things were, came to understanding between my parents, and it became clear that they were going to, they came down and they were going to talk to me about it. But the news they gave me instead was, "We're getting a divorce."
Well, you were out of the hot seat.
And so I didn't get in a lick of trouble. I was like, "Well, I'm going to my friend's house then." And they were like yeah, I should have just. I was like, well, now I need some booze. You know, it wasn't like this had been a long time coming. It wasn't like a huge shock, but it was almost like a macabre feeling of like, man, that kind of sucks. But somebody is gonna get to do whatever they want until college. You know?
Oh, no.
I don't think anybody sets out saying that they want to be a CEO. I think entrepreneurs have great ideas and they pursue them, and ultimately they end up as the CEO, and that's that's sort of what happened with me. I saw a great opportunity. I went after it. Are you vaping on the air right now, bro?
I am.
He's not getting high, if that's what you're thinking.
No. I'm just very excited to see you vaping. It's very relaxing.
I don't approve, but
to watch you vape. You know, that stuff's just as bad as the cigarettes, man.
Yeah, but not until like evidence comes
right,
out.
I need the evidence.
Thank you, Mike.
If lung cancer happens in the woods and no one's
I'm gonna
and the
keep
study isn't
Hailing
published,
those Eagle Energy power sticks, because there's nothing wrong with them, folks. Nothing wrong with them at all.
There has to be. I looked into it. Like I tried to like convince these people, and I couldn't find any proof or evidence that it's actually bad for you. But I think anyone who's
saw
old
me
enough,
hitting those. Look, if there was something wrong with those things, then I would have died last week.
you were sweating. You were like your forehead got clammy, and you started wobbling, and you said that it was a high. How can that be good for you?
Have you guys ever got like done something like benevolent or nice, like little, like more than common courtesy, and just by happenstance you get like you get something out of it where like you look really good? Because most of the time when you do nice things, nobody notices, and you can't bring it up, or people will think you're a cunt, which is true.
Yes, only because you are.
It's true. That is. But I had like the most perfect like little thing happen. Like this past weekend, I was hanging out with some friends and a couple of girls at a bar, and it was getting late, and I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna head home. And so I was heading home, walking back to my place, and I passed this homeless guy. He was like, sir, I ain't asking you for money. I just want some food, man. I'm so hungry. And I was like, you know what? Let's get some food, man. And so I started walking with this homeless guy. We were chatting. And I took him to a corner place and just like told him, get whatever you want. You want a couple sandwiches or chips or, a hot meal, whatever. And so I just let him pick it out. They started making it. I bought it for him. And as I was leaving with him, he had his shit, and he was like being all thankful, like thanking me, being super nice, like kind of following me back towards where I was going. Like I was being very polite. We passed some of the girls that I was hanging out with earlier that night, just by random chance, and it made me look like the best Samaritan ever, because here I am with food that I bought for this homeless guy after I was like, God, I'm getting tired. I got to go home and go to bed, just like 20 minutes before. And they're like, oh my God, did you buy that guy like some food or something? I never
did
do
that happen,
that.
or can we tie this back to the previous conversation where they're not really thinking about you?
No, this happened. This actually happened.
The second part, though, they did notice. Okay.
They did notice, because like they were like, I was walking by with and it worked even better because I didn't notice them standing on the sidewalk. I got like 2 feet past them with Mr. Black, now hunger satiated homeless guy, and Rufus. They go, yeah, Rufus, DJ. Was his name. Oh. And they're like, Taylor, are you? And then we had a little talk again, and there you go. I looked fucking great. Like, I'm gonna start doing nice things so much more on the off chance that it gets me laid. Like, it's just
fake nice things to do, like have someone cosplay as a homeless man.
I'm gonna hire DJ.
Maybe you hire DJ. Here's what DJ can do for you. You hire DJ to come in and accost some woman, like get all crazy in her face, like, give me $1, give me $1.
You're gonna die tonight, bitch.
and then you swoop in like, hey, get out of here, you leave her alone, or I'll kick your
Is
ass.
Marty McFly in this scenario?
Yeah, exactly. You and Rufus could have a real nice thing going on. Rufus gets all the hot sandwiches he wants, and you get all the hot pussy you want. He probably lives down there on the street under your window somewhere. You could just be like up in your window, like, Rufus, the blonde. And while he's accosting her, you're running down the stairs to go like save the day, dude.
Man, I could hire a whole mini cabal of the homeless, and because I don't want to use the same
intimidating looking.
His name's not fucking Rufus. It's DJ. It's a DJ.
Rufus.
And okay, well, Rufus is
Thank
like 6'3", and he, to be fair to Rufus, he was definitely a heavy enough guy that this probably wasn't the first sandwich he'd had that day.
Oh, this is perfect. A guy who even bigger than you, and you come in like, hey, you leave her alone. Get out of here, you. I'll kick your ass. And, dude, you and Rufus could have the greatest symbiotic relationship of all time. Like he just gets. I would make this happen. I'd be like, yo, Rufus, would you accost pretty white women for me? And I'll come in and run you off, and I'll give you $20 a day. How about
I'm
it?
doing it without you. May as well.
I've been accosted pretty white women for years now. Ain't never got a sandwich out of it.
You just go all over the top fucking racist with your sandwich and your shucking and jive, hand motions. Oh, that's funny.
You guys do some sort of like, it'd be some kind of weird handshake that like white people aren't good at. There'd be some wiggly fingers and some waves and like two slaps, like that thing. And then it'd be like pop, pop, and then there'd be a finger snap at the end.
Like, Rufus, we can't do this fucking 28-second handshake after every accosting. There are people catching on. We're working together. Bada bing, boom.
I fucking love this idea. I bet if you ran this by Rufus, like, all right, Rufus, don't do anything illegal, but, accost him a little bit, like angrily ask him for $1. And then I'm going to swoop in. I'm going to run you off. And meet me by the door later. I'll slip you
There's gonna be a hot Qdoba burrito right behind that tree 20 yards there. So when I come over there and I go, get out of here, Rufus. Stop bothering this sexy lady with her big pouty blowjob lips. And then you run over there and you grab your hot burrito and you go, until next time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is happening. I need to find Rufus.
I fucking love this idea. You get so much ass like this.
Call him Rufus, and then he's gonna beat my ass.
No, dude, you can call him fucking Mr. Bojangles. He's getting like a Qdoba burrito.
He's a very, very sweet homeless guy from our one encounter together.
Yeah, they're all sweet until you start giving them Qdoba. Then they'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You could be like, Rufus, just beat her to death if she doesn't. And the ones who don't like respond to your. If you come and save the day and they're like, thanks, and just walk away, you'd be like, get her, Rufus. like she wasn't convinced enough. Like, get Rufus to go over there and start whipping her ass a little bit, and then you come in. Then maybe she's a little more grateful. Like you escalate. You escalate things.
Maybe he injures her just a little, just that much, just enough to need to have to come back to my place for a little bit of very poorly administered medical care. Like I'll just put a little bit of Neosporin on whatever it is, and then you go. And you start making your move. I
like it. Hope
you don't have any other infections. Yeah.
Like you maybe you buy him some steel toe boots with the implication that he kicks women in the knee with them.
Okay.
She's all limpy. You need to help her along.
I don't want to take him to the hospital though. How about just
not him? You're gonna take her to your place, and then you nurse her back to health.
You take me to the hospital. My leg's broken. That homeless guy kicked me.
And you can be like, that she's dependent upon you, right? Right.
Ooh. I'm nurturing that dependence because she knows if she goes back outside, Rufus is there with half a burrito in his hand.
Step one: demonstrate value, right?
Yeah. If she tries to leave, you like look out the window, give Rufus the old wink. And then he starts like screaming and like yelling up at the window. And she's like, maybe I'll stay here for a while. Yeah, I'll walk you home in a couple hours, but I gotta work on my my medical thesis. So let me get back in here. By the way, let me bandage that up for you. You pretend like you're a medical student in this terrible scenario. That would be even better. See, that's how you get her back upstairs. Oh, I'm a medical student. I've got my bag upstairs. I could take a look at that knee for you that Rufus kicked with those. Those look like new steel toe boots to you? Yeah, he must have stolen them off somebody. Big violent guy. Yeah, I've seen him in the neighborhood. That's Rufus, the kneecapper. They call
Rufus the kneecap.
Yeah, he's crazy. They won't do anything.
I mean, a horrible guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves Qdoba. Yeah,
loves it. That's how I get my way through.
Burrito bowls. That's it.
What other fun things could I do with the local homeless? Because there are aplenty. What else could be done?
I would like to start like a homeless like doo-wop group, like get them all like doing that thing where they for the longest time looking in her eye, and then Rufus jumps in, ooh, and when I find you, I will be right behind you. And then they all sing as a chorus. I haven't been there for the longest time. And then they're just down by the window. You could serenade ladies with your.
The longest for the longest time.
Yeah, Rufus would do that low note for you.
Okay. No. I'm not going to do that one. Who is honestly buying that big homeless man a brand new pair of steel-toed boots is going to be a better idea than trying to teach him to sing, because I don't know how to sing, and I can't imagine that's going to scare any ladies into my arms. You know, unless it's like really late at night and she's walking down an alley alone and she just hears the whoa, and then she looks around and it's four large homeless gentlemen. You know,
they're all snapping their fingers in chorus and like walking. Maybe if you got them to do what's the Michael Jack Thriller? Da, da. Oh, that would be great because homeless people look so decrepit and stuff. If they were doing the Thriller, like while the music,
I can get some of the more like methy looking ones for that.
Oh, do you have methy looking ones?
Oh, I'm in Missouri. Yes.
Of course, the Missouri capital of the Midwest. I mean, the meth capital of the Midwest. Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell. Lots of the homeless people here in St. Louis are fucking crazy. Like,
and you say it's funny, but yeah,
disconcerting.
they're like literally mentally ill. You know, they're
Yeah,
crazy.
dangerous.
They could be
We have
schizophrenic.
multiple hammer-related murders here every year. There's a homeless guy out there, Rufus, perhaps, you know, who's going around with a claw hammer, beating the shit out of other homeless people, and every once in a while you'll see it in the Dispatch, you know, hammer murder at 4th and Broadway, and it's like, oh, again, like this,
Yeah, they got rid of the asylums. I don't know what to call them as a budget thing. I think it was under Reagan, but I'm not positive about that at some point.
Police sirens go off 3 times an episode
Really?
for me, and I just mute it every time.
Another hammering.
Another hammering. Another murder.
So how rough is the neighborhood out there, Taylor? The inside of your place looks nice.
Oh, it is nice. Like it, and it's not even that like where I live is. I mean, I live technically in the city, but it's more just like a safe area of St. Louis is like a very, very dangerous part of like Seattle or Portland or Kansas City or Raleigh or something like comparatively.
Or any American city, really.
Or most, like every time they make
or
like
Baghdad.
I'm so tired of like how St. Louis is only ever in the news for bad things. Like I saw another like
we have a
NPR
wonderful parking lot by the library.
Have
you seen the
Don't go to the library late at night.
Why don't they run stories on our parking lot?
But like they showed something the other day where it was like these like graphs of the most dangerous cities by continent, and I was like, please just for once don't have us on this list. And it was like USA, fucking St. Louis, right at the top. It's like, God damn
You're
it.
number 1? Because I mean, I would have thought Chicago or
old-
LA or maybe New York.
Well, Chicago's so much bigger.
The per capita is not as bad.
Well, the way they gauge it all obviously is per capita, and per capita, St. Louis is the only American city that's in kind of like the realm of Honduras average, and that's not a group you want to be a part of.
So you live in a
Honduras.
shithole city.
Oh, it's an incredibly dangerous city.
I'm just going off
Like
Trump's definition.
people will come
right?
in from out of town rather, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to a Cardinals game. I'm going to a Blues game or whatever." It's until 2 years ago, I was, I'm going to a Rams game, and I'm like, "Hey, that game ends at like 11 p.m. Be careful. Park somewhere that's really populated so that you'll be walking back in a big crowd." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I bet. Trust me, I walk downtown in Portland all the time." And it's like, "I bet you do, retard. You're in for a hammering if you don't walk back the right way." Like,
is it that
No,
bad? Because I feel like I'm an idiot from Portland in this scenario. Every time I hear about these like terrible parts of town or whatever, I look around and I think, it's not that bad.
I went to a restaurant 3 weeks ago. There's a restaurant here called Bar Louie. There's a bunch of them, or a handful of them. And I went to one of its more popular locations, like I guess it was like 5 weeks ago now. And I was there with someone, and she and I were sitting, and she wasn't from the city area. She was from further out west where it's safer. And we were sitting, having a beer, eating, and it was 8:45 at night, not super late, and out of nowhere, a giant group of hoodlums to the right who were eating next to us start sprinting out of this restaurant right onto the street. Like, it's a city area, so there's just a street and a bunch of cars parked and shit, and they run out there. And I was looking around, like, through the window of the restaurant, looking out towards them, like, what the hell are these guys running out there for? I look out there, and there is a big fat white bitch and a short black guy in a fist fight. And I go, oh, it's good that all these fellas are running out there. They must be trying to settle it down. No, they made a circle around the brawlers in order to make sure that neither of them could escape and that they had to keep fighting. And so they kept fighting out there. This fat white bitch, God, she took some Lozon-esque punches and kept coming back for more. This black guy decked her in the face to the point that everybody else in the restaurant was like, oh, shit, man. Oh, he ain't going to hit her again like that.
Did she outweigh him? Is this a big white fat chick versus like a Cat Williams type dude?
They were both probably like 5'6"-ish. She was fat. He was not. He was like skinny, but like a little bit of muscle on him. This dude, well, to be fair, she was antagonizing just as much as him. But this dude punched her in the face, knocked her onto the ground. This lady in the restaurant with me goes, call the police! Call the police! He beat her up! And so people are calling the police, trying to get the police to show up. And
Are
this
you on a
continues for about
first
20
date in this scenario?
No, it was someone that I was fucking, and we wanted to get food afterward.
Okay.
And she goes down, stands back up like almost right away, which is remarkable. The dude's like hoodlum friends pull up in some ratty ass Chevy Blazer, but instead of him running over and getting in it right away, they continue to fight. She had both of her legs scraped to fuck, her pantyhose or whatever torn to shreds. She went over to him one final time after a few punches had been thrown, and this was, keep in mind, this occurred over the course of like 25 minutes. After like the first 10 minutes, it was like the police probably aren't coming. Like they got other shit to do. And so, like, he was about to go get in his car with the Chevy Blazer. He gets 1 foot in there, and she comes over, and she's still doing her, I fuck you, you hit like a bitch, or whatever. And I'm enjoying watching because it's entertaining. And he comes over, takes his foot out of the car, walks over. They're between two cars, you know, like parked at the parking meters. They're right between two cars in that very small area. This dude gives like that sucker punch pop, where he hits her so fucking hard in the jaw, she goes down, hits her head off the side of this parked Corolla or whatever the fuck, and then is just laying there on the ground, popped up again in like another minute. Good for her. She was like Pam from Archer. Like, just could take a beat. And the dude gets in his car. They start to drive away, and they're like flashing a bunch of gang signs and shit. And then like 10 minutes after all of this,
victory.
Yeah, yeah, I beat that white
Took that
bitch up.
bitches.
Yeah, and then like 10 minutes later, I was like, you know what? I don't think the police are coming. And they didn't. They just never showed up. Bitch got the shit kicked out of her right in front of this restaurant, 8:45 p.m. in a large metropolitan area. Police never showed up because they're dealing with the hammer murderer or some shit. Like, they don't have time.
I knew a cop, and he said that as you get wiser and you're a veteran, you show up to fight slower and slower. And I was unimpressed with his attitude towards this thing, right? There's someone that really might need his help, but he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it makes sense from the perspective of keeping him safe, but it's totally piece of shit when it's like, you know you're not a librarian, right? You know you're a cop. It's your job to rush there and help people. Like,
yeah. Maybe one of those participants didn't want to get in that fight at all.
Dude, Kyle, you talking about having that backup through the yard catastrophe reminded me. I bet probably like 7 years ago I told this on the show.
By the way, I didn't say a word.
You didn't say a word. You were a good man. You were honorable.
Are they still together? I'm curious. Did White Boy?
I believe they are. I certainly hope they
good
are.
For them.
Good
for them.
She was always really nice.
Basically, I think I was probably like 13, 14 or so. And we were coming from the rink. My mom was driving me. And it was me and I think my younger brother and Joel Quinville's son, who played on a team with my brother. Joel Quinville at the time was the head coach of the St. Louis Blues. And so big like guy in the hockey community in St. Louis, very like tight. And so like the professionals like Chris Pronger and Al McInnes and Joel Quenneville and all these guys would be down at the rink and their kids would be playing there. And so like we knew them and the Kachucks, and my mom was dropping in this Honda Odyssey. I remember we were dropping him off at Joel Quenneville's house, head coach of the Blues, after a practice, and it was rainy. It was shitty out. It was wet. And he was the coach of a professional hockey team. And so it was a very, very, very nice yard. Very nice house, beautiful yard, and a very long, straight driveway. And my mom pulls up into it and lets him out, and he goes in. He's like, "See you later." You know, like, "Oh, see you next time." And she starts backing out. And I remember like his driveway was big enough. She could have done a little whoop de doop and like come back out straight, but she started backing up, and 100-yard driveway, however long it was. And I think we got it about 8 feet backward before I felt the car go and just in the yard. And my mom just forging ahead, just driving 2 wheels like tilted in this guy's yard. And I'm like, Mom, you're in Joel Quenneville's yard. You're in the coach of the Blues yard. Get back on the driveway. And she's like, "It's fine, Taylor. It's fine." And I'm like, "It's not fine. It's not fine." So
it's not fine.
It's not fine. And so like all the way back, the full length of the driveway, there is just a solid rut, a ditch now of destroyed like yard right next to their driveway. And my mom, like, it just didn't register with her at all how like shitty it was. And so I'm just like, I'm mortified. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to talk to someone else during practice and like deal with this. This is really embarrassing. This guy's a big hullabaloo in the hockey world. And then she just backed out. I looked in horror at like a decimated yard, and then she just drove away. And then I got back, and my dad was there, and like I waited, and my mom went to go do something else, and I was like, "Dad, Mom drove through Joel Quenneville's yard," and he was like, "What?" Like he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "She started backing up, and then she was just in the yard, and then she just went all the way through the yard." And he was like, "Oh my God!" Like I saw that look.
I choose
of like
to believe that's what led to the divorce.
I would have went back.
I think it was. like timing doesn't work out, but yeah, my dad was
he
so.
stewed on that for a while.
I could see in his eyes and face because he would golf with like Al McInnes and Joel Quenneville and like these guys, and he was like, "Oh my God." He's like, do they know it was you who dropped them off? Like, yes, they know. He's like, "Oh my God."
They probably were all like watching through the blinds as you did it. Like, "Oh no, she'll stop. She'll oh God.
Blasted.
Honey, isn't that the Kentucky bluegrass you had flown in?"
Oh, maybe my mom was driving like Hamas was hidden under the yard, just blasting through it.
So your father was friends with Quenneville and McGinnis and Pronger?
Yeah, like because they like we played hockey at the same club, and so like a lot of these guys played golf together. And like what helped is that my dad is a ridiculously good golfer, like absurdly good. People will be like, "Oh, but I'm really good at golf." And then they play with my dad and he blows them out. He plays nonstop all the time. And so these guys, like when people retire from hockey, they start playing golf. And so they wanted someone good to play with them. And so they would invite him to come play. And that was neat. So I got to like hang around the Blues.
Why is it fun to have somebody good with you?
When they're playing like triples or like a group of 4 or something, it's good to have someone who's really solid on there, I guess. I don't even know enough. Like like in group play where like they're a group competing against other groups. I guess it was good to have them. I remember Matthew and Brady Tkachuk are both in the NHL right now, the sons of Keith Tkachuk. And I remember I met Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. They're both like 7 and 9 years younger than me or something like that. 7 and 8 years younger than me. And the Tkachuks invited us to their box to watch a Blues game when I was probably, 9 or no, I'm sorry, not 9, like 12. And so these kids were like 3, 4. And I remember my dad like giving me a talk like the whole way up there. He was like, "You behave. We are with Blues players and we're going to their box and you will behave." And I remember being like, I do behave. Like, I don't know what I'm going to be in trouble for, but like I was on my best behavior. And like every so often I would just like, cause all the adults were talking behind me and I was sitting in those little chairs up a little closer to that mini glass that overlooks the ice. And then I would like get up every so often and go get a Coke because I wanted a soda. And like, that was my big, oh my God, it's a box, as many hot dogs and sodas as I please. And so I was doing that the whole time. And I had to end up getting multiple sodas because I would go get a Coke, I would open it and then like drink some, put it next to me. And then it was either Matthew or Brady Kachuk, probably Matthew at the time, was like 4 years old. He came over and he just kept knocking my soda over. Like this little kid, he just kept going, whap. And I remember in my head being like, that's Keith Kachuk's kid, and Dad said to behave. And so I just would like,
you're like, good
pick
hit,
up,
little
yeah, good hit, little guy. And so I just pick up the soda and throw that one away, and then open up another one. And then he'd come over like 10 minutes later and knock my soda over again.
Oh, got
And so
another
I
one.
just-
2 points
Yeah.
for you.
Matthew, little did I know he'd be an NHL.
Hey, I'm Taylor,
superstar.
by the way. We should be friends for life.
We should be great friends. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I have a bunch of good like hockey stories knowing those guys. Eric Johnson was the first overall pick by the St. Louis Blues in 2006, I want to say. So I was 15, he was 18, and he was boarding with the McKinnis's at Al McKinnis's house, and which is pretty common if you're like a young 18-year-old first-round draft pick, first overall especially, that you're going to go to the NHL right away, more likely than not. And so they'll board you with an existing NHL family with people on there so that you can kind of get acclimated. And I knew Al McInnes's son at the time. And so he and I were playing shinny hockey in Al McInnes's basement, which is like a little where you know, those little tiny hockey necks, like yay big, made of plastic, and then those little plastic sticks with the foam ball. And basically you're on your shins, you're on your knees, and it's one-on-one, and you're trying to play hockey versus it's so much fun. Shinny is great. And me and Al's son were playing, and because I'm a goalie, it gives me a tremendous advantage in this game because second nature, I'm always keeping myself square to the net. Whereas someone who plays forward or defense isn't going to be doing that as much. They're going to leave open scoring opportunities. And so I beat Al McInnes' son, and then I look over, and Eric Johnson, first overall draft pick, comes down in the basement. He's like, what are you guys doing? At this time, Al McInnes' son is like 1 year younger than me. I'm 3 years younger than Eric Johnson. And he's like, I want to play. And he's like an 18-year-old first round draft pick in the NHL. And so he's unbelievably competitive. Unbelievably competitive. And I won. I beat Eric Johnson. Shout out you, Eric Johnson. Has a good career.
Loser.
Eric Johnson, loser. You're lucky we're giving you this attention.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome, Eric. And so we were playing, and like at first it started off where he wasn't going that hard on me. And then he realized like, oh, this kid's like, and I'm also like a pretty big 15-year-old. And so by the end of the game, he and I are both sweaty. And he's like, when I have possession of the puck, he's like leaning on me like hard, trying to move me. And I'm like trying to bounce it off the wall to get it into the net. And I won. And he got like he kind of got up like with a little bit of a huff. Fuck. Like mad about it. And I remember for a long time, I'm 32 now. And I still remember that and being like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The king of shinny.
If you wanted.
Yeah, I could have. And by that, doing a little college football math, I should have been the first overall draft pick in the NHL.
I mean, I bet if some of those scouts had seen that shinny footage, they may have had some other ideas.
They would have. I kicked ass at shinny. So Eric Johnson, invite open. You want a rematch? Anytime, any place. Oh, I've made $100 million and won Stanley Cups. Who cares, brother? I took you down in Al McInnes' basement in 2005. Basement champion. Yeah. Did you guys know any like professional athletes growing up, or like?
No.
My father knew Pat Croce.
I forget where you're from.
You guys know any celebrities or anything as a child? You know, hang out with them and stuff, befriend them? No,
it's just because we play hockey in the same circles.
This was like one of those memories that you like talk out of your head with like a good thing that you did once, like, oh, you know, I'm not that bad. But I was at a hockey game like 4 years ago, a Blues game in St. Louis, and it was after like the first or second period. Bathroom was packed. Like I would have had to wait until the next period started to get in there and take a piss. And so being me, I was just like, I can finagle my way through this line a little quicker. And so I just like, before walking in, I set the stage, walking around being like, Teddy, Teddy, like, and I walked up to the guy at the back of the line and I was like, have you seen a little boy? I think I saw him run in here. And then he was like, no, I haven't. Here, you can go on in and check for him. And I walked past everybody in line calling out for this fictitious little boy, Teddy, and then eventually got in, just snuck past someone, stepped into his stall, took a piss and got out, walked past one of the dudes, and he's like, you're a real piece of shit. And I was like, yeah. Then I went back to my seat.
How did you do the last step? Like, how did you get in front of a guy?
It's because it winds as you're going in. And so it's like dozens of people in the line. So everybody isn't on board with what's going on. And so I kind of just stepped around where all the people seeing me yell Teddy to get into the bathroom. Like they see me go this way, and then there's a sharp bank, and then there's the stalls. And I just kind of took that bank and zooted in one real quick.
At some point, you went directly in front of somebody.
In front of many, many people.
Yeah, he cut the line looking for someone and went to go take a piss.
No, but that's the thing. At some point, you were in front of someone. Like, let's say hypothetically, there was a long, curvy line. I see how you got near the front, but how did you insert?
The way I inserted is someone had just left the stall. The person, you know how some people like to just go to the urinal, have their little talks or whatever. They don't go into the stall because they assume someone has to take a shit's going to go in there. I didn't assume that, and so I just snuck into the stall itself. It wasn't a urinal, so I just kind of.
This almost sounds like the parking lot maneuver, where there's someone waiting there with their blinker on, and you got in.
Yeah,
it was like that if the person waiting with their blinkers, pregnant wife, was in the seat next to him. Like it was that level. This was a guy. I think I may have mentioned him in the past, but it was a long, long time ago. There was this kid who was really fat and really weird. He was a year under me, I think. Maybe he was in my grade and I just didn't realize. A year under me, I think. And during like lunchtime, he would obviously wolf all his food down within the first 3 to 4 minutes, and then he'd have 25 minutes left of lunch to do stuff. And so he would like go like in the side of the lunchroom where it was like just not many tables being used or anything, and so he wasn't in the way, and he would do like slow motion like karate by himself over there. And just let me paint the picture of this guy. He's about 5'8", no exaggeration, 2,000 pounds.
None.
And he would wear, doesn't matter if it's early April and it's hot as balls outside, he'd wear a big black trench coat, black baggy pants, like those emo kind of pants with chains on them, or maybe goth is better than emo, and then like some sort of Invader Zim t-shirt. And fingerless black gloves with also Invader Zim on it. And he would do fake karate by himself over there and do like all this like weird little maneuvers, and always slow motion. And not always, every once in a while he'd bust into a combo, bah, 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 and do that kind of thing, shadow box. And this more southern kid who went to our school once was just like, he wasn't there for long, but the first year he was there, that kid was like doing his fucking thing, and he was sitting talking to us. He's like, the fuck is that kid doing? We're like, he just pretends to be a karate man, just ignore him. And he's like, nah, I'm gonna go ask him. And so he went over there, and we're like, all right, I gotta follow Josh over here to see what he does. And he's like, what are you doing over here every day doing karate by yourself? And the kid just is like, immediately clams up, gets embarrassed, shuts down. I don't even remember what he said to respond. I felt bad for him.
Did your friend go over like to mock him? Was he aggressive? Or was he just genuinely curious?
Hey, weirdo!
Yeah.
Hey, goofball! What the fuck are you doing over here?
What was the vibe that he brought to the question?
The vibe was a mix of trying to get an answer and mocking, in a way. And if the kid had like come back with like I'm practicing to be a soldier for when XYZ happens, or I just love Invader Zim or something, like I would have been like, okay, this kid's just weird. But he like immediately clammed up and was so meek about it that I was like, oh, let's just let the kid do his karate.
Yeah.
And that's all that happened.
We
never bothered him again.
And so every day we trained for months. Every day, even now, every afternoon at lunch, we all meet up down at the park and we do our kata. Because someday the Overlord will come down and we must be prepared for him.
At some point, that kid
snapped by being bullied by some kid in his own grade, and they got into a fight. I didn't see it though. It was just something that got spread around the school. It was like during their gym period.
Yeah.
And they both got suspended.
That's not the question. Who won?
Oh, I think the way it was described to me, and it was so long ago, it's hard to remember. What I think it was is that the skinnier kid,
like 8 years ago,
was getting the upper edge on him, and then the fat kid tackled him, and threw all his training out the window, went straight for a tackle.
That's the problem. He's been training striking alone for so long.
His ground game was shit, and then of course the teacher comes over and breaks it up.
Yeah, see, I wanted to hear. He had been training every day at lunch, and we mocked him until the day the school shooter came. And Lenny the Stinker walked up to him and used the 5-finger palm heart exploding technique on him. And the man just dropped dead. Just dropped dead and just killed him. And we all
saw the
cheered.
last 4 beats of the heart.
Yeah. I got a really good one. When I like 5 years ago, was walking through a grocery store, and this elderly woman was offering bagel bites, and she had just finished one batch, was turning around to get the next sleeve out, and I took all of them, and I left. Didn't buy any bagel bites, but I took like 9.
You had 9.
So I didn't stick around, but I could just picture her turning around like, oh, someone wants to try my bagel bites, and then, oh Jesus, like, where have they gone? Where's that nice young man? But that I can't think of anything like truly awful. Like maybe I've repressed it because I have to have done something really, really genuinely mean. My freshman year, me and a bunch of my friends I had in my dorm had like a manuary where we didn't shave, or a no shave this November, don't shave December, whatever it was. And it was 1 month of that, and we all had like a beard competition, see who get the longest, the fullest. We had like categories. It was fun, and I won.
Compete with you. Oh, there's a shocker.
Well, they didn't know, I didn't have like a beard grown out most of the time. Like I just kept it pretty cropped, and so I grew out a pretty good month beard and won the little contest. And they were like, we were in the bathroom like shaving, and a couple girls were taking pictures and shit, and in the like the funny shapes. And they were like, Taylor, it would be so funny if you went to our class, because we all had the same class right afterward. If you went to our class with a Hitler mustache today, that would be hilarious. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, yeah, I'm in college now. Like, that's pretty funny. People will be like, look at that guy. All laughs. Like, and so I shaved it into basically this amount of facial hair on my upper lip. And I have a very thick mustache, so it came in well. And I went out like that. And I was maybe like, my dorm was maybe a half mile from this building, like a diagonal line just across the street, and you're there. And I made it like halfway between, and I was waiting at the light with the hundreds of other students who had come. By the way, I had a thing where I was like, I need to get to this class on time. I hate going in late, even if it's a big thing. And so my friends didn't come with me. They didn't mind being late. And so they were back there. And so I didn't have anybody with me to do like the nice, like, man, that's so funny. It's so funny that as a lark, you shaved that and think that you believe, but I didn't have that guy. And so I was just this guy standing there being like, well, now I cannot go back and shave it. I'm going to be late. So I'm just going to, I guess, sit in the back. I don't know. And so I just like walking across, getting eyes, more like curious than like what the fuck? Then like a couple people being like, oh, nice Hitler mustache, bro. Because of course you expect people on college campuses to yell it out. And so I just go the remaining walk pretty much acting like, oh, do I have a nosebleed? I may have a nosebleed. Oh, let me check that out. Class, sit in the very back. Don't talk to anyone. Don't look at anyone. Just take my shit, like boring ass, whatever class it was. And then left and immediately shaved it. And my friends didn't even come to class, so fuck them.
I think Jewish studies class, like you forgot what it's a whole new semester. You're back there like this. You're like, what, Taylor, what's wrong? You aren't taking notes. I feel like I might sneeze any minute. Any minute now, it's coming.
Well, two of the guys I was doing that whole contest with actually were Jewish.
No. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine then. So, yeah, but you run into some fucking Israeli exchange student out on the green, and the next thing you know, he's Krav Maga-ing your ass into submission.
Ever since I took Accutane, are you familiar with that? No. It's a drug that they used to just hand out like candy in the early 2000s, which would like,
obliterate any acne that you had and like clear your skin up. And so I got on that, and one of the I hit every checklist of potential side effects for that thing, where it's like, oh, it might make your skin more pale, like permanently. It did that to me. You might burn easier. It did that to me. You might get chronic nosebleeds from the dryness. That happened to me for like 3 years as I was taking it. I'd just be like sitting around, like, and then just.
Did you get the liver damage?
You took it for a long time.
I took it or I didn't take it for that long. I meant like the time following. I think it was like an 8-month cycle or something they put you on.
That's crazy.
One thing, but it made it so easy to make your nose bleed. I remember once I was sitting in, I guess it was freshman year math, and I was not ready for the test. I had fucked around in class. I hated math. And so like, it was one course that like, if I was going to be bummy in a course, I would be bummy in math because I just didn't like it. And I got there for the test and was like, you know what? I'll probably be good enough at this to get a B. I'd be fine with a B. And I sit down to take it. And within like 5 minutes, I realize, oh no, Taylor, you're staring down the barrel of like an F, and not a 58% F, a 31% F. And so I sat there at my desk, and I went like this on the side of my nose and just pushed on it and like moved it around and did stuff like that until my nose started bleeding. And I got up and was like, oh, Mr. Johnson, I got to go. There's blood on my paper. You can see. And I left and just took refuge in the bathroom for as long as I thought would be excusable for her to give me another day to take it. I come back with like 12 minutes left in class, sit down like I'm going to like start working. And I just take it over to her and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I can't right now. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish this. She let me come back, take it a couple days later because of my nosebleed shenanigans. Still got a C.
So proud.
So proud.
Well, that's how you know you were definitely going to get an F if after a couple of days of like studying hard and having looked at the test.
Yes.
No, she gave me a new test.
It was maybe an indicator though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm fucking bad at math. I'm a fat-headed retard. I've said that many times.
When I was trying to think of like stupid little thing like hobbies, and magic came to mind. Not Magic the Gathering, magic like doing that kind of shit.
I like that.
Remember in high school, we were drunk at a friend's house or something. There's a lot of guys and gals there hanging out, and it got to be late at night, and everybody was like, I guess I was pretty drunk, and I walked in, and it was some guy like doing like magic tricks with cards for a couple girls, and I'd never done it before. I don't know why. But I just was like, let me see all of those. And I grabbed them all, and I like just moved them around a bit, and I just went right to the guy's face sitting there. He wasn't that drunk, and I just bent the cards and forced at him. I went, I'm an illusionist, and I just sprayed them all right into his face.
You're such a dick.
all the girls thought it was funny, and so it panned out. But it was such a rude thing to do. Why did I do that?
Oh, so shitty, Taylor.
Yes.
Oh, so shitty.
Taylor's
I
a
used
bully.
To be able to do.
I had a friend. He wasn't at my high school. He was a kid I knew through hockey at a different school in the area. But it was like a year and a half after we graduated that he got in trouble for. He had one of those, those cars that you can buy like a cop car. That's just an old cop car, and they still have that like spotlight on the front. And so every time they drive around you, you're like, oh shit, and then someone drives by and you're like, well, fuck you, man. That's fucking ridiculous. And he had one of those cars, and he bought on the internet, or I don't even know where he got it. It had to be like a pawn shop. One of those, like, those old cop movies where it's like, turn them on, boys, and they like put that thing on the top, and it's like one of those circles. There's just one light, and he got in trouble for it. He was just pulling people over, pretending to be a cop, and he wasn't like getting out and being like, give me your papers and everything, because he was just like, they'd know like you're not a cop, so he just pull them up, sit there for a couple minutes, freaking them out, and then just leave. And he got in trouble for that because eventually someone told me that he pulled over an undercover cop, but that seems like it's so far-fetched that can't be true. So I don't know how he eventually got caught, but that's a serious crime to be driving around pretending to be a cop, pulling people over.
I would never do that. I'd heard of people doing that, and inevitably you hear the same thing. Oh, then he pulled over a cop. That's how it always ends. And I'm like, I'm not testing my luck at this. This is like the worst game of blackjack ever. Like, I'm going to jail at the end of this night. And the fun of it, like, where is it even? I guess if you went out and got a police uniform and a ticket book, and you just went and really like played like you were a super trooper and fucked with people, talking about chicken fucker and having a good time, maybe it's funny, but even then, it's not worth the risk.
It's a serious crime and it's a big deal, but I feel like it's hard to measure, and I wouldn't know how to quantify this in law. But how serious it is almost dependent on what's in the guy's heart, right? If you're abusing public trust in an effort to get girls to like blow you to get out of tickets, that's a really big deal. But your friend sounds like he just had an odd sense of humor and was doing it for yucks.
Yeah.
And there was never any chance of, like serious abuse of power other than a 60-second delay.
No, he wasn't a bad guy. He was just, I haven't spoken to him in years. He was just kind of an idiot, which you have to be to drive around and pull people over like that, because there's no winning. Like, best case scenario is you pull over like 8 people in a row one Saturday night and you're like, man, what a hoot. And then you go home. Like,
exactly.
Worst case scenario is like you go to jail, and it's like, well, hope you weren't into guns or voting. Like, because that's not in the tea leaves for you the rest of your life.
So I had to poop in a Walmart like 2 months ago. I was like, or I guess not even that long ago, but I was buying shit for my house.
Which aisle did you choose?
Sporting goods. Yeah, just right in there.
Yeah, nice.
No, I had to poop at Walmart. So I was around getting a bunch of stuff, and I was about to start the shopping trip, and I'm like, I'm going to be rushing through stuff if I have to poop this whole time, and I'm going to forget something. I'm just going to go shit in this Walmart. And at the time I was going into the bathroom at Walmart, like, I guess the shift was changing. And so there were tons of Walmart employees like changing and around in there. And I've made clear before, I'm not one of those hold back shitters that, like, when you walk into the bathroom and there's a guy in a stall and you sit in the one next to him and you're like, this guy's trying to hold his shit until I leave. Like, what are you doing? Like, I had some bad gas, and when you're in the shower, and Kyle, you sing in the shower, when you hit that note and it resonates off the walls. I had 3 or 4 farts that hit that Walmart bathroom resonation thing to where it was like the whole place felt like there was the Titanic's foghorn going off in there. And
That's actually the theme song of Walmart.
That's what it is. Yeah, so I had a big loud shit in there. That guy, he was out alpha'd by my shitting, and so he got up without any more poop noises from there, and I'm like, I've won this little pooping duel. I have a really good record in pooping duels. Even if the other person doesn't know that we're dueling, I know.
And afterward, because there's a ton of Walmart employees in there, like when you got out of there, were you just like, what's up? Like, were you confident about it? Or were you like, I got to go shop in Target now?
Oh, no, I just walked out and kept walking. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, they're not paying attention. They don't care. And if they do, what are they going to do? Not ring me up? I don't fucking care. I'm not your friend.
I'm just making sure. Some people are very self-conscious about this kind of stuff.
I don't know why people are. Like, it's a bathroom. That's what it's for. Make a full evacuation and get out.
Yeah, but there are people who are self-conscious about everything.
Oh, that you guys talking about food. I don't know where this came from. It reminded me. I went to this sports camp when I was like, I guess 14, and it was a religious camp, but it was a sports camp, but they like tied in God to it somehow, where it was like, hey, go do your sports, and like, because I was on the hockey section, we go play hockey. There's a football section, basketball. Everybody broke and did their shit, and then they came back and like gave us some half-assed Bible study of like, you got to work as a team, just like Christ in Matthew 6:10. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. But there was this this kid, but for some reason they let a kid with Down syndrome into the camp. He wasn't like running around doing anything bad, but every day at lunch, him and his handler, who like helped him out, go to all the different sports and whatnot that he could participate in, would sit down with them and be like, now you have to eat all of your food before we can go. You have to eat all of your food. And the kid would always be throwing a fit, not wanting to eat it. And one of the days that the handler was like, all right, you're not getting up and you're not going to play basketball until all of this food is done. And it was like a chicken patty fried and some green beans. And he came back later and the kid had eaten all of it and was like holding his stomach, like, making noises. And you look at the chicken patty, the outside is completely crisp, like a chicken breast that's fried should be. The inside is 100% pink rare chicken that she made this kid sit there and eat over the course of like half an hour. He just wanted to go play sports. He was like, no, Alex, you're gonna eat your chicken or you can't play basketball. So she made this kid with Down syndrome eat a bunch of raw chicken, and he couldn't end up doing anything because I think he got salmonella.
I hate her.
He died. He died of the salmonella.
He passed away. Reincarnated as your
salmon,
employee's
'cause that's how
potential
that
kid.
works. And it was very heroic. And man, I cry on almost every single one of those stories, especially the ones on YouTube, because these old men who fought in Korea will be there, and it's just like that Band of Brothers thing when he's like, do it, Taylor. The whole
My
thing.
grandson asked me, Grandpa, were you a hero in the war? Grandpa said no. But I served in a company of heroes.
And then it plays the sad music, and he's just this old man, and he had all these remarkable achievements, and he's so humbled by the sacrifice of his men.
Just you saying that brought back those memories, and I teared up. I teared up. If you'd done it another time back to back, I'd have cried.
But I sent him his gift a little early. I didn't know when it would get there, but I ordered it a couple days ago, and I guess it got there much more quickly than I thought it would.
Yes.
I offered to sign up for his registry and get him whatever he's got on there, but I was like, hey, if you don't give me that registry in time, I'm just gonna send you a whole shitload of meats. And he was like, meats, you say?
Yeah,
Do that.
yeah, and I was like, I have so many cups and plates now from the registry that I can't even fit in my cupboards, and so I was like, dude, send me the fucking meat, and Kyle was like, I'll do it, I'll send you meat, and I was like, send me the meat, and so he sent me what has to be 25-pound leg.
Oh my god! Of prosciutto?
We can't see it. It's all fucking fucked up.
I get the idea.
Is that going to last how many nights is that going to last with you? That would last a week at my house. Slicing off prosciutto all night.
When I ordered it, it said it was 18 pounds, and I did the math. That's roughly 17,000 calories he's holding.
Jesus
Christ.
2 days.
1 ounce is 60 calories, and this is, a lot of fucking calories. And the amount of cholesterol, my God.
The sodium.
Taylor, I think there's a body hack here, though. Like, if you eat that all in one night, you can't absorb 17,000 calories.
Dude, I might actually have a heart attack and die.
Yeah.
If I tried to eat, and it came with a prosciutto stand that you lean it into, and it came
my God.
With the highest quality prosciutto knife.
Wow.
That I can.
How do you register for something like this? I might go propose right now.
I didn't even register for it. It was just Kyle saying, "Send me your registry, or I'm just going to end up sending you meat." And I'm like, "Oh, fucking send me meat, man! I don't want anything on my registry."
Don't throw me in the briar patch. Reference.
I get that reference.
I don't.
You really don't get that reference?
In the briar patch? No.
Yeah.
Someone has to tell me. I don't get it.
Trying to think. Funnier if we don't.
What is the story?
It's Briar Rabbit. It's Briar Rabbit.
Briar Rabbit.
Then I should remember that. But yeah, thank you very much. That's a ton of fucking prosciutto Italiano. My fiance, I sent her a picture of it this afternoon. She's like, "Oh my God, please tell him thank you so much. I can't wait to build a charcuterie board with a bunch of cheeses and meats and have company over." It's like, this is you can have a little bit, I guess.
We'll see if there's any left over. Once you're completely done with it, you should see if your little tiny fake dog can get the whole bone in its mouth.
It would be so funny.
Get
just
pictures.
take that giant ham bone and give it to my 12 and 15 pound dogs. My tiny little puppies. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to go to town on that meat. I was thinking when I got it today, it was like when you get something at Toys R Us when you're a little kid, and I remember getting Legos at Toys R Us when I was 7. And I get in the back of my grandma's car, and she's driving us back to her house. She's like, "Now don't you open that until we get home." And I'm back you can't stop me now. Wanting to play. That's what I wanted to do with this. When I brought it in at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, it's well, I haven't eaten lunch yet. I could just eat prosciutto. I could just eat
a sandwich here.
But no, I don't want to. Well, then I thought I don't want to just start eating it right now. I want to have a whole to do. I want to go out and get the cheeses that pair with it right. I want to get crackers. I'm over wine.
I'm not gonna try and find wine for it. That's just gonna fill up my belly where prosciutto could go.
Maybe some beer. That thing's gonna be so salty.
Maybe that might be a fucking water meal. It's so salty.
Yeah.
Just trying to not get too dehydrated, and I like how I'm already picturing it as multiple meals in a row. How many days do you think I could just eat that as my primary source of protein before I became ill?
I don't think you'll get ill as long as you drink enough water. The sodium is the problem. We talked about cholesterol and calories. That you can deal with that. It's the sodium.
I'll have to drink like 10 of these 40-ounce bottles a day just to get through
stay
it.
hydrated. You eat that motherfucker.
I caused some problems for my mom. I was a leash kid. I got put on a leash in malls. Were any of you leash kids? You were, Harley?
No.
Did you have
I was
a
a leash
body
kid.
leash, or did you have
I was a
wrist
leash kid. Yeah, wrist leash, and I actually was notorious for breaking off the leash.
Me and you there.
My
Yeah,
mom
the
would've
wrist
beat the
leash
fuck out of me.
had the wrist leash was a one and done thing because it takes no effort at all for a little child to wriggle out of a wrist leash. It was when I went to the Black House White Market or fucking Nordstrom or whatever with a whole vest like I was going skydiving. You know, it was like being a dog where I just start running and just get pulled back. They had to close a Macy's once because they had to keep a Macy's open because I was so dedicated to my hide and seek game of being inside one of those circular closed things.
Oh, those were the best, man.
Yeah, I love
really
hiding
get
in that
serious thinking done in those things.
You could you could get a lot done in those.
I wonder how Taylor would have fared under my mom. Like, I don't think you'd have been a runner. That you beat it. Like, she beat the hell out of someone. For
Yeah,
that.
for
Like,
those
we
of you who
didn't
don't know,
run.
Woody took some licks as a kid.
Oh man, yeah. I just like the thought of trying to get away from my mom in a mall scenario or something. Like the consequences were too high. You wouldn't want
risky.
that.
I did something once where I must have been 7. My brother was probably 5. You know those wagons, like those play school wagons that you pull that like you see moms walking down the street and there's 2 kids in there. I took one of those and we had an enormous hill in my backyard when I was growing up and a giant willow tree popped right in the middle of it. But it was the only tree there and the woods were hundreds of yards back. And so I told my brother we were gonna have a fun ride down the thing. What I didn't tell him is that I would not be joining him and I was gonna tape him up so he couldn't get out. So I taped his arms together. And you know, the only thing you have to do as the older brother, because obviously if he resisted, even like 5 years and 7 years old, he would have escaped. All you have to do as the older brother is be like, yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Can you believe it? Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And then he was all taped up. And I remember standing there with my hand on this wagon, ready to push him down the hill to see what would happen, like on this fucking play school thing.
Oh.
And I hear my dad from the balcony behind me, Taylor, do not let go of that wagon. And I was like, and I hear immediately the telltale signs of an adult running quickly down the stairs. Boom, 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 boom. Like, all right, it is now or never. And so I let go of it. And immediately,
did not know where this was going.
Yeah, and immediately it starts careening down this hill. Boom, 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 boom. Like my brother's bouncing up and down. And I hadn't aimed him that well. I was like, he's just gonna go straight into the middle of the fucking yard. What could possibly go wrong? He'll slow to a stop and be fine. I'm not gonna get spanked. No, I just let go of it, and he goes straight into that willow tree as
he hit it
20 miles an hour. Not 20. It was fucking quick. And he, obviously not strapped in, hits the tree.
Whoa.
Bloodies his forehead. No, I taped him up. I didn't tape him into the wagon.
So he can't protect himself, basically.
Correct. Correct. It was hindsight's 2020 on all this. I've had a lot of time to mature, but there was nothing more scary than seeing him hitting that tree and then turning around and being like, oh no, like that wasn't worth it.
Oh yeah.
And now he's here. And that was, I never taped anyone up and pushed them down a hill again. Will suffice it to say. But that was, oh man.
I was a kid on a leash. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. I was a leash kid in the
No,
mall.
I didn't. Did you say that before? You had the leash.
I may have mentioned it. I wasn't a regular leash kid. I was like a misbehaved one too many times, like a dog in the park, and so then I had to be taken to the mall a couple times on a leash just to reestablish those boundaries, and then you get taken off the leash again. But it was just a wrist leash because I guess my mom didn't want to go whole hog into the leash thing because a lot of them are like basically a harness where you could be like, get back here, and the whole kid just because you're just a child. But like what I would do, and my mom tells me it better than I do, obviously. But I'd let some slack form in the line while she was at like, I don't know, White House Black Market or whatever fucking stupid store she dragged me to, and I just let some slack in, and she said she'd turn around and there'd just be a wrist cuff laying on the floor at the mall, and I would have ran off, and I didn't like cause mischief or anything at the time. What I liked playing hide and go seek, and in the middle of those big things of clothes, you know how there's, I don't know, 600 of those in a Macy's, and there's like 5 stores like Macy's in every mall. It was just I wouldn't listen to the announcers at the mall where they'd be like, "Well, Taylor, please come to KB Toys. Will you come to KB Toys? We know you want a toy." But I grew out of that phase. I don't run away from people at the mall anymore.
I love you hiding still hide in the clothes racks.
Still hide in the clothes as an adult man. Just
in a clown costume.
Sir, we need you to get out of here. I've eaten dog food before when I was like 8. I think I might have told this story. My mom was making tuna casserole, which I fucking hate tuna casserole. I don't like any kind of casserole, really. Ever since I was a kid, it just grosses me out. And I was like 8, and my dog had a bowl in the corner. I wanted to show my mom how much I really hated her fucking casserole, and I wasn't going to stand for it anymore. God damn it. And so I snuck around the corner to where I could see her cooking it, and I just started eating dog food from the dog's bowl. Ate the entire bowl of dog food. So when I sat down, she was like, "Taylor, you going to eat something? You going to have some of the casserole?" I'm like, "No. I already ate a whole bowl of dog food." There. Like, "Taylor, that's disgusting." And my dad was laughing like, "Well, he already ate, you know? Like, it's fine." He's like, "Are you really? You're really not going to have any casserole? I slaved over this for you, and you eat dog food instead?" I can't believe that. I can't believe you just eat dog food.
Like, that's a great.
Take a hit.
Did it work?
Yeah, I didn't have to eat casserole. I already fill up on dog food.
But I mean, like going forward,
how did it play out?
Yeah.
Oh, like she really didn't make that anymore because she knew I would sneak in and eat dog food. That's how I got. I was just like a little bit of a
explain
troll.
that to someone. Like some third party is present. She's like, "Why is Taylor eating dog food? Oh, he prefers it to my cooking."
Yeah, he prefers that to my casserole. Hey, why is that whole corner of your dining room all the wallpaper peeled off? Well, we used to implement timeout for Taylor, and now we don't anymore. He ruined the whole corner of the room by tearing all the wallpaper down, and so now he just has a run of the place. Like it was great. Lots of little antics.
It's been worse with future relationships, hasn't it? You know, since then. You know, like
Oh,
many
yeah.
girlfriends have looked back on that, and you've been like done the same thing. You like, it worked with mom. It probably works with the girlfriends. And
Yeah,
then,
the first time I ate a big bowl of dog food in front of Melissa, you know, she was a bit hesitant. But, you know.
but now she's got that fancy skillet. You know, she'll be.
Yeah, now she's got that fancy.
She doesn't know yet.
This is like one of those scenarios that you don't think about ever because, like, when even the thought of it pops in your head, you just
It's bad.
Like, just try and not think about
You cringe and wish that weren't you were remembering.
it. You just go.
That was somebody else. That was a past
Yeah,
life, right? I didn't do that.
Wasn't me. That wasn't me. No, I was. Okay, it was like the perfect storm of awful. I was at my girlfriend in high school's house after school, and
Parents' house.
Parents' house, yeah.
Okay.
And we were hanging out there, and every Thursday we got Qdoba in the morning.
That's like
This
burritos.
was Friday, and I had been blocked up all day. Like I hadn't shit since the previous burrito. And so I go to the bathroom. I was going to go up in the upstairs one where it was a bit safer, but
Yeah, privacy.
she was in there and was like, "Oh, you just go downstairs, the one in the right by the entranceway to the house, that bathroom." And I was just like, "All right, well, I hop in there, take just a foul abomination of a shit, and just go to flush it and have."
Now, let me ask you
some
this about the shit. Was it one of those that, as horrible as it is, it's over in like 7 seconds flat?
Oh, it was a speed run. You know,
It's
it
one of those
didn't
where
take that
like
long.
you have to sit quickly so you don't just shit everywhere. Like
Yeah, you're like shuffling down. You have to sit. It comes out so quickly and so much force that like there are waves splashing up the side of the bowl. But so I go in there and take the shit, and I feel so much better immediately. flush, about to leave, and I see that scary look, that tepid filth water moving a little closer to the top. Oh, it probably just takes a bit. Some toilets raise higher. It keeps coming. It gets to the point where like I'm like willing it. It's like stop. And it gets to like right on the rim of the bowl, just soupy shit water. And like an idiot, instead of just plunging it and trying to get it under control, I go,
let's give it a go. We've been taught since the time we were 4. You flush to get the poop to go away, and you just do it without thinking.
Did it without thinking, immediately realized the error of my ways as it just cascades down the side all over the place. Like 3 minutes later after this, when I'm like, hey, like yelling for her that their whole foyer is covered in shit. Mom gets home, and she walks in through the front door, and like, of course, I was right by there, and she was like, oh, Jesus, oh my God, and I'm just standing there beat red because I just pooped the foyer.
Oh,
and,
God.
It was, like, even thinking about it now, I'm cringing so hard.
All right, so this is there's something about Mary type scenario. What happened with you and this girl post you shitting in her house?
I mean, it wasn't like a huge freak out. Like, I think she was just as embarrassed as I was almost, where she was like, oh God, this guy's shitting all over my house. Parents already don't like him. But yeah, it obviously didn't end up working out quite a while later, but I don't think it was shit related. Yeah.
What's that I walk into?
That's that is hilarious.
Have I told you guys about the I know I told it on my channel years and years ago, but about the poop bandit story?
Tell it again.
The poop bandit? Okay, so there's this, it's not me, but there's this kid, the bathroom bandit, they call him at our high school. This kid, this weirdo, and I was the only one who 100% knew, to my knowledge, while it was happening, who was doing it, because I almost caught him on accident one day early in the morning. This kid, this weird kid, he would go into school sometimes really early, and he would go into the bathroom, shit into a paper towel, and then write on the wall Joker-esque messages like, ha 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 ha, you'll never catch me, in shit on the wall. Or on the inside of stalls, and like clues, like getting closer, question mark, things like that. To the point that our morning announcements, they had to say, like, to whoever has been defacing our bathrooms, please, if you know anything about this person, report it to the principal. You won't be told out. But the time I figured out it was him, and this happened at all times throughout the day. It wasn't always the morning. I don't know how we never got caught. You'd go to class, come back out before lunch. I need to use the restroom. Walk in, ha ha ha. Like, there's shit on the wall. Like, when did this ghost of a person find it? Like, it got to the point that teachers were logging your bathroom exits. And I went into school really early when he decided to strike one day. And I was about to walk into the bathroom, and this kid walked out, and he knew me. And so he was like, oh, Taylor, I wouldn't go in there if I were you. It seems a certain bandit has struck again. And then he walked away, and I'm like, oh, Mike, I knew it was you. Like, you bastard. And so,
Mike, shit bandit.
Yeah, Mike was the bathroom bandit.
Did he ever get caught?
No, he knew when to stop. It was an Ocean's 11 style, calculated mayhem he was running there. But that's
hilarious.
The poor
That's
janitor,
great.
he became so sullen and downfallen every time he had to go in there and clean the shit.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Oh, that's so funny.
It's a
I can't
asshole
imagine.
move.
I can't hang with your story. Like I don't know.
Shit bandit.
Yeah, the bathroom bandit. While we're talking about pranks, that same guy, the poop bandit, he had another prank in his repertoire.
Is this
where,
the story you keep forgetting to tell?
Yeah, it was the one I keep forgetting to tell. He
Settle in. Here it comes.
So the way I told you guys, like the end, but the way, like the beginning of it, we were 17, and so he stayed at school after it closed. It was open until like 8 o'clock because there's sports practices and shit like that. People are walking around. He hid in a bathroom, of course, just hid in a stall, played with his phone or whatever, sat up on the toilet and just waited until like what he said was like midnight or 1 a.m. just goofing around the school when everybody was gone. And with him in his backpack, in his locker, he bought a ton of Mighty Putty. And what Mighty Putty is, you can buy it on late night TV, or you could, and it was like this product where it was like, take a scoop out of here and you seal it on anything and bam, it's gonna stay. It's gonna fucking stay. Like there's like they showed it where they had a chain between like 2 trucks or something, and they made a link out of Mighty Putty and they let it settle, and then the 2 trucks start driving and it's like, look at this Mighty Putty, it's not gonna break. And it's like,
I've seen that. Yeah.
Shit, yeah, it's not gonna fucking break.
It's like JB Weld.
Yes, it is so powerful. And he took his couple of tubs of Mighty Putty and the little spatula it comes with, and he went around to almost every door in the school, inner and outer, and smeared Mighty Putty into every keyhole. Every keyhole, he smeared Mighty Putty and let it dry. And so the next morning, when all the janitors came in to get the school ready to go, nobody could get into the school. So when we showed up that day for school a couple hours later, the front doors to the school had been removed. There were no front doors on the school because they had to remove the doors.
And take them off the hinges.
Yeah, they took the doors off the hinges because they had to replace everything. He didn't just put it in the keyhole. The crack between the door and then there's a little the jam, the door jam. He would smear that whole thing too. And a couple of the teachers that he didn't like, his handler, or his wrangler, as we called her, who had to keep an eye on him as he was going around the school every day because he wasn't allowed to walk around unsupervised. He had to have a supervisor. He had a wrangler, and so he coated every side of the wrangler's door in Mighty Putty, and they had to. There was so much damage, and somehow they didn't put it together. I know that they knew it was him. Oh yeah, they knew it was him, but they couldn't peg him. So they had to call him in.
No cameras.
No, there weren't any cameras in our school at the time.
After that guy came in and stole the computers and cooked his own shit in the kitchen, they put cameras in at our school to prevent any further.
There are cameras now in that school.
Yeah, good.
There weren't at the time. They learned their lesson.
I don't think ours had cameras, but they had motion detectors. So I don't know if he would have got away with it where we were.
That's hilarious. That's such a good way to just ruin their shit too, because I don't think you can do anything about that if you get it in there good.
No, he just really got off on upsetting people and stressing out authority. Because it's like, imagine being that principal coming in for work. He's already got in the back of his head like, God, if that kid shits in another bathroom, I'm gonna have a fucking revolt from these janitors, and they're not gonna handle it. I'm gonna have to be the one scrubbing off. Ha ha ha! Any closer yet? And shit on the bathroom. I'm gonna scrub that off. God, I hope he just gets it under control. And then he shows up, rubbing his eyes from sleep with his coffee, and he tries to stick his key in. That's weird. I must have missed. No. Oh, fuck! Just yelling, can't get into the fucking school because this rabble rouser did. He also did it. He broke the vending machines that way. That dollar slot, he smeared a bunch in there too, just so you couldn't put shit in the vending machine anymore. He was such a piece of shit.
I would be so afraid to do that because in the back of my head, with a prank like that, is all right. I might get caught. So if I do get caught, let's make sure this is something that can be chalked up to boyish hijinks or something like that. He's going all or nothing. He's like, fuck him.
If you put a
motherfucker,
put a round up penis on the football field, and then they'll charge you for grass seed. You owe us $23.75. There was like $16,000 in damage or something. Like it could be very expensive.
Oh yeah. It's so much. He did another thing that he got. I remember a big group of people got called into the office, like being interrogated because like I didn't know till later, but it was like, well, so and 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 so come into the office or report to the office. And it was like, well, what the fuck is this about? These are the rabble rousers. And later we found out that a teacher like went out to go leave for lunch or get something, and there were 2 like big nails leaned up against the back of her wheels, so that as soon as she backed out, both of her back tires would, not like pop, but the nail would go in and it would, puncture it and either quickly deflate or slowly deflate. And that was decided that it was a very dangerous thing, that she could be like dead on the road or something if that happened. And so there was like a cop or something there to interrogate them and ask them. Never found out it was him. I don't even know if that one was him, but Yeah, that one was even worse than the Mighty Putty, I think, because that could actually get someone hurt instead of. That same kid told me he did. I never believed him for this one, but there was a teacher that was not liked by anyone, and just one day, like he left after lunch, and it was like, oh, I guess he wasn't feeling well, and like a week later, the Poop Bandit, that guy told me, I don't know why I was always so privy to these things. Like, we weren't good friends.
Wait a minute,
but
you weren't the Poop Bandit, were you?
I was not the Poop Bandit. No. These are really ballsy things. I'm not the Poop Bandit. But he told me, yeah, you know the reason that, and he talked like that. He's like, you know the reason Mr. Johnson left last week? I was like, no, Mike, why did he leave last week? He's like, I put 5 tabs of acid in his coffee in the teacher's lounge. And I was like, did you actually put a bunch of acid in his coffee? He's like, yeah, man, yeah. My buddy tells him, and I got a bunch of it, and I put it on his coffee. He was like freaking out, man. And he left. He had another teacher drive him home. And I was like, I didn't know whether to believe him or not, but that is one of the genuinely meanest things that you could do to someone. Is like, as you're like teaching, and you like imagine you point at a kid like, Jesse, shut up, up, and like your arm starts like extending towards her in a weird way.
I feel like this is something that would happen to the alternate universe teacher version of Quibble Cop, right? Just someone drugs his food.
Drugs you.
Yeah,
He
he's
didn't even
screwed.
get drugged. Like, it was funny, his stories where he was like, and then I got drugged and I didn't know what to do, and I asked him, is there drugs in this? And he said yes, so I take it. And it's like, well, then you didn't get drugs. Someone gave you drugs.
So what you're saying is you do a lot of drugs. Okay.
I got a good senior trip one. So what they did is they would have, like, they rented out like a YMCA kind of thing. It wasn't a YMCA, but you get the idea, like a community center, and the whole senior class would like be it was like a lock-in, and you just kind of go wild in there, whatever. They had like parents and teachers like to like make sure you didn't get too out of hand, like weren't vandalizing. And that same guy, the fucking Poop Bandit, didn't do any poop related things on this trip, but he first of all, he kept sneaking out of the lockout to sell cocaine to people in the parking lot of this YMCA. He was a reasonably big drug dealer. So senior kept sneaking out to sell cocaine to people. He was doing a ton of coke. While he was there, just like hyped up, like somehow.
That's why he was shitting so much.
Yeah, he was just shitting. Just how he was constipated. He was suddenly shitting. He couldn't control himself. A lot of cocaine, and they had this big bouncy castle, and people were like enjoying it. Like, of course, people showed up drunk and whatnot, and they're just in there doing whatever. And he just for no reason at all, just like went up to like behind the bouncy castle, no one could see, and then just stabbed it with a knife, ruined the fun for everyone. For that thing, then he would like run around, and they had like all these like games and things where like
This guy's horrible.
I know, and like there was this thing where it was this another balloon kind of game, and it was 2 lanes, big lanes that you could run through, and you would strap on this vest, and it had almost like that thing that heroin users used to tie off, attached to your back, and to the balloon in the back, and the vest was made of Velcro, and you'd try and run as far as you could, and then when you stopped, it would shoot you back. And you'd stick to the Velcro thing. And I guess, like, after people had, like, got a little bored of that and went on and be like, oh, we'll come back to this later. He just went over and just cut those 2 things for no reason. Just all he did, the entire lock-in, was go around and cut and break things. And they had, like, prize baskets. And they're like, how did this prize basket end up in the toilet in the men's room?
Did everybody know it was him? How many people knew he was guilty?
At this point, we'd already graduated, and so he just went balls out. Just, I'm wrecking stuff, and it doesn't matter. And this, I mean, it was either this kid or another kid another kind of like goofy fuck up. But when we all got diplomas, where it was like, you graduated and blah blah blah, and like great for you. His said, thank you for participating at X school. Like, just thanks for coming. Like, he didn't actually graduate. But he just went around and
Did they say that on stage? Please tell me they're like, and congratulations to Jackass for participating.
No, they didn't do that. But, it was in like that pamphlet that they give you, and you kind of open it up, and he showed it to us like, oh, guys, check it out. Thanks for participating. Yeah, right. And it was like, dude, you're so high on coke, I can like see myself in your pupils right now. But
and everyone else just says like, congratulations on graduating or something.
Yeah. You know that they had to like talk to Kinko's or whoever, and like, yeah, we need all of them like this, and then we need 2 like this. Like, just put a big middle finger on there. Just trace mine and put that in the background. Watermark it.
That's embarrassing.
This isn't quite the same thing, but it reminded me of a story my friend who was in Afghanistan for a while told me, and like I was just asking him like, so like, every single thing there is different than here. Like you never like drive by and be like, wow, a Michael Jackson record. Who would have thunk it or something like, and he's like, yeah. Like one example is we were on a night patrol in a pretty safe area and we were pulling up across the road and we heard this like, noise. And we were like, what the fuck? What the fuck? So we turned on all the lights and everything and the high beams and everything. And we could see this like man just crawling towards us on the road, just crawling towards us in a really weird way, making a noise. We were like, what the fuck? And then, after a few more yards, he started going slowly into the darkness out there, and we just let him go because didn't know what was going on. And so he just left. The next morning, we continue on a bit, and we see this house in the middle of nowhere where these people live, and chained up in the front yard is this man on all fours doing like clearly like deformed, like his legs don't work. They had a translator talk to this family. He had a dog house out there that this man lived in, like outside of the regular house. They had their translator talk to this family, and that guy was mentally handicapped, fell into like a ravine when he was young, broke both of his legs, and because they don't like take you to special camp to help fix you, they just kept this man chained outside their home, and he lived in a doghouse, and that night he escaped. And like my friend who was in Afghanistan was like laughing about this because you have to have a fucked up sense of humor if you're gonna see stuff like that. And I was just like, Jesus Christ! So like, what did you do? And they're like, well, it's not our son, so we left. Like,
yeah,
it's like, yeah. Not even, can you imagine seeing an adult handicapped person with broken legs chained in the front yard in like Baltimore? Like no,
well,
no,
Baltimore, yes, actually.
Christ, that's not as horrible as I didn't know where that story was heading, but my mind was going on a lot of avenues of horrific shit, and that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
They didn't kill him. It was just a story of something they saw where he still like it's burned in his memory. She's like, I didn't even know that's a thing that you did to people. Like that, it never crossed my mind. Like, but your story about I had something for the other thing too, where like someone's trying to like explain something to you that they think is funny. This is a throwback to the Poop Bandit. I've said before, that guy was a fucking maniac. The Poop Bandit. If you don't know the story, Filthy, a guy in my high school would shit into rags and then like draw Joker-esque messages on stalls before and after hours schools. And it would say like, ha ha ha, you'll never catch me, in feces on the wall. And at one point I caught him kind of because he was coming out of a bathroom. I was about to go in. He goes, oh, Taylor, maybe don't go in that bathroom. It seems a certain bandit has struck again. and I was like, all right, well now I fucking know Mike's the bathroom bandit. And it was hilarious. Like we all like as adults had to like start getting like walked to the bathroom, and he still found a way to do it. I don't know where he found the time, but he did that to me once. Where like we were both friendly, like I was always nice to him. We weren't like friends or anything, but we were always courteous. And he was telling me once, he's like, so like the woods behind my house, like my neighbor, he has all these dogs, right? And like they bother the shit out of me. They're like always loud and like barking. So this weekend, and he like started laughing like Cartman. Like this weekend, I took a bunch of bologna and I took a bunch of rat poison out of my uncle's shed, and I put a ton of poison all in the woods, and the dogs are gonna eat it. And he's like laughing. I'm like, ha ha, Mike, you prankster. Like you like, and I had to like, of course, walk away, not feeling that comfortable, knowing that Mike had murdered all those dogs.
Yeah, watch your lunch around Mike, because he's got a pocket full of rat poison and a rag full of shit.
That guy was. I'll have to dwell on that guy a little longer and think if there are more stories.
Dude, do you have your yearbook? Because it'd be funny to like dox the shit bandit.
No, I'm not fucking with that guy.
I've got a story.
I am not fucking with the shit bandit. No.
Dude, so
I'll wake up and I'll open my eyes late at night and it'll see, I know what you did on the ceiling of the apartment.
You'll have a shit mustache.
Yeah.
What does that smell?
Oh, this is the Pierre. This happened I had friends in a couple of years below me in high school, and they had a senior prank where my grade, we didn't do shit for a senior prank. Like it was almost like everybody was on the same page, where it was like, are we allowed to go? Are we allowed to go? Are we allowed to go? Are we allowed to Yes, we're done. All right, see ya. Boom. And everybody just left. And this class, it wasn't even a lot of them. It was a group of guys. They went into the school at the same time that one fucking Instagram guy's working out. and went into the library and stacked up all of the chairs on top of the tables and knocked a bunch of books down and then like put all the books in the wrong places and did stuff that was like, and I mean, when you're using the fucking Dewey Decimal System, that takes a while to get those things fixed. And so again, like they like took out some of those cards and like fucked with them and just were rabble rousers, like piled up a ton of that. No, that's not what they did. They didn't put the chairs on top of the table. They piled up every single library table and chairs in front of the only entrance to the library, like it was a, Walking Dead scenario to try and, blockade it. And this old ass librarian came in and that morning, and she was so distraught that she just like collapsed weeping over the state of this library. And it was not at all the tone that the prank was going for. And so instead of it being like, you rapscallions, it was like and like all the teachers are comforting this lady. And they got in a lot of trouble and they had to volunteer in the library for like a couple weeks after they graduated, which doesn't seem like you are even allowed to do that, because that's just stealing labor from children, right? Like, or not children technically, but whatever. I thought that was a little bit mean spirited, but most of them were good. Did you guys have
to predict how she was going to react?
Did what?
As Taylor was laying out what they did, I'm like, that's not even a prank. That's just vandalism. Like it didn't strike me as funny. I wouldn't have predicted that people would be like, good one. Like,
from what what was relayed to me of the group that was there, like 8-9 guys, some of them were more in the pranky mood of like, let's pile all this stuff up and it's going to take forever for him to move the tables back. And other people were in the fuck this bitch, I'm outie, mode, where they're just like ruining the Dewey Decimal System and hiding books behind other books and that thing. But it wasn't a great library before, so
and messing up the order must have been so shitty.
How you do it? How you do? You got root. Dude, I've thought, I know it's in bad taste, but like, when you see all the Twitch streamers, like it'll be like, for the fucking dogs of Alaska, they're being mushed too hard and enough is enough. And like, it's something I've always wondered, like how long you can get away with it being like, yeah, we're doing a charity, it's the Taylor's Mortgage Fund, and it's a really good cause. Definitely would, as long as you made it clear that it was a joke.
Taylor, you could do that right now, and no, but I'm pretty sure if you don't even have to.
I'm writing down charity.
I'm going to disclose. This is not what I am suggesting. I am just giving you a book of what probably could happen. I'm confident that if you came on and you said, "Hey guys, I am starting a charity for Taylor's Mortgage Fund. This is to help a disenfranchised individual that has repeatedly seen financial hardship because he cannot get a sponsorship."
It's a charity called Taylor's House. And, every 100% of your donations to the Taylor's House charity go right into the program. I promise you, 100% of your donations every month.
We'll go right into Taylor's House.
Oh my god! All right, I got to add like the little money counter on my streams now that Wings has. It'll say for Taylor's House.
That you got to get that as a hashtag, like hashtag Taylor's House.
Taylor's House.
Taylor, I'm telling you, you can do it and nobody would bat an eye, but I'm also telling you it is morally inept.
Oh, that's never bothered me.
Oh no, Taylor's house should be for the benefit of fat-headed retards.
You need to make shirts that say like Taylor's House Fun Walk and stuff like that. Like you're doing all sorts of stuff.
But it needs to be the
Taylor's
habitat for.
House.
It needs to be like the Habitat for Humanity's like color block building.
Just completely rip it off. They don't sue.
I just invert one of those Livestrong bracelets right Taylor's house. Ship those out. Yeah, this is a good ass idea. I'm gonna do a charity stream for
your stream title should begin with #charity stream.
#charity stream, #Taylor's house.
And you should find a really inventive and humorous way to describe what the charity does while being 100% honest.
You know what? I can work on that. I'll come up with something good.
It provides housing for young men in the Missouri area. You know, it's
a good cause. You know,
it's a good cause. It's a good cause.
Taylor houses people with intellectual challenging, those who are willing to challenge the intellectual cabal of America.
That's what it is. It's for, but even more so, it's for Taylor's house.
Or my mortgage, by the way. I mean, that was kind of alarming. I truly believe you can't get away with saying it's Taylor's house and like disassociating yourself from that movement. But I firmly believe that there is somebody out there who could be like, hey, this is for like Maggie's house. And their wife's name is Maggie. And they can just funnel everything into this fucking poor soul. Like, it is kind of alarming how nobody's like, maybe we should check out who this Maggie character is. Like, maybe this GoFundMe isn't so like benevolent after all.
I'm gonna bank on people just trusting the Taylor's House Fund. It does a lot more than just pay for my house. It pays for the new patio I want. It pays for the gym machines in my basement. It pays for my Gatorade. It's really everything in my house.
It's a halfway home. Halfway meaning that we still have to build the other half, and that's why I require your funds.
Yeah, it's a halfway home. The mortgage is about half paid. So
it's just going to make a lot of money. I really think it is.
It's money for Taylors.
Yes.
You're going to have a $5,000 night. I think you will.
You really. I want you. I really want you.
Some real schmoes to come in there who are like, well, I mean, I don't know what Taylor's Fund supports, but I need a write off.
I need you to like really build out like 4 really shitty like infomercial level like I've known Taylor for a while now. I think he deserves all the funds for Taylor.
Keep going.
I think that Taylor is just been hit with all things on life, and he needs as much money as humanly possible. We have to fund Taylor.
You know what? As that song's playing, I'll be in a dog kennel.
Yes!
You got the eye boogers.
And I'm in the corner of the kennel, shaking.
This is no longer. We don't even have to. This doesn't even have to be scummy. You can now shoot a Sarah McLachlan commercial earnestly and know that it will garner donate. Like this is a bit that you should do, and it will.
I wish you could hire that old man with the beard who does the African children and get him to stand right outside your house and be like, this is Taylor's house.
Look inside. Do you see him sitting there shaking in a kennel?
How do you have a crossover
just
with like
60 cents per day?
For
60 cents per day
a day
from several 100,000 of you.
Taylor,
this is a good-ass idea.
if you don't make a Sarah McLachlan parody in the next 3 months, I retain ownership and I will.
And as soon as,
will do it.
as soon as this idea pays off and everything comes to fruition, new charity, Taylor's Boat. Taylor's Boat.
No,
this Taylor guy keeps finding new projects to help humanity. I got to
trying to
support
fund
him
the
even more.
HMS hate crime. It's a 50-foot schooner that I'd like to have.
For whatever reason, he's funding the SS. There's no name to the boat. It's just SS. I don't understand.
Yeah, they're like lightning bolts.
I feel like that's really weird. I don't know.
Gladiators. Look at these dope ass gauntlets I bought off of Amazon.
What?
I hear them clinking.
They're my gaming gauntlets.
That explains the gameplay.
Need be. That wasn't boost, you assholes! You assholes! You guys suck! Fuck you guys! Now I'm all Yeah, see?
And we thought you couldn't WASD, but that's
You have
why.
Gaming gauntlets.
Yeah, gaming gauntlets. I got 2 of them.
As you do.
Is this for Age of Mythology?
Yeah. Except you can't hit the buttons.
Can you
Of
type
course
well
you can't
with
hit the
those?
buttons. You're wearing gauntlets.
Go like this.
Oh, Jesus.
Kind of.
Playing on a controller.
Well, no, I'm saying this is the only way you could possibly play with gaming gauntlets. I don't know why I bought them, but I think they're cool. I literally went on Amazon and I was like, gauntlets. And then I looked at some like nice ones and I was like, cheapest gauntlets.
How much were they? They don't look cheap.
These were like $60. And I figured now that I bought them, it's going to force me to buy a costume that aligns with this in October.
So you're going to have an entire chain of armor?
A whole
Am I
suit
saying
of
it
armor.
right? A suit of armor, yeah.
So if the cheapest suit of armor you can get on Amazon is to dress like a Crusader Templar. You want to bump up to like a plate armor looking guy, that's going to cost you. You want some Lord of the Rings armor, even more. So you need to buy novelty musical instruments on Amazon that people donate. People will like someone said, "Hey, if I give you $6, will you get a slide whistle?" And I'm like, "I don't care." So I was like,
I love how these are all within grabbing distance around
They're
here.
all here.
By the way.
Incredible work.
Today, the didgeridoo, but it's hard.
James has this super long, like very wholesome thing about being frugal and preparing for the worst as you go honk honk like off.
I mean, this is
it goes
this is
into
the
it.
worst.
Do it.
This is the worst. Yeah.
I got it for a second.
There was no preparing for this.
No. Sounds like a tuba a little bit.
That one was good.
I love the pride. Like, hey guys, did you see?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was walking around my living room scaring the shit out of my dogs today. Just blowing this thing. Oh, they hate the didgeridoo. They absolutely hate it.
Oh, that's funny.
Also, they're terrified of the clown horn. The dogs don't like any of these novelty gifts.
Is there anything else? We got the clown horn, the slide whistle, the didgeridoo. Oh, do you have the keyboard?
A bunch of custom
That's
sounds.
better than I thought it was.
Where do these keep coming from? Like you keep pulling them out of thin air. It looks like
Taylor has a thing where his stream can buy him things that he'll use on stream. So if they decide that he should have a the hell is that little instrument called? A harmonica.
You gotta up your gift buying game.
Well,
play a little didgeridoo for us.
Beeswax.
Play a
hit
little
that bad boy.
didgeridoo.
Let's go.
No, put it on the mic.
Okay.
Warble. You need some warble.
Hold on.
It's the same as the other one.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for. It sounds like a used car with blown out speakers.
Pretty good, right?
Oh yeah,
I've heard better.
Better than you would have thought. You know what? Fuck you.
Well, I think I can play a little better if I'm being honest. But,
you know, I'll bring it with me on our road trip. You can try. Because the
bring
first
it
half
along,
dozen times you try it, you just go, and it's just you
you
get
leave
steady.
that thing with me, I'm gonna fucking smoke out of it.
Oh, you take some fat rips off of that thing, man. You can
I have a
really.
carb on the end of that thing. And
Dude.
whoa.
getting closer to my ancestors. Other side of the world, but same accent, I suppose. Globalists, the Eagles are trying to take over our society, and you should be able to eat as many crickets as you want. That's as many bugs, anything as you want. I like the ladybugs because I find that it gives a nice red tint to my feathers. That's what I prefer. But these motherfuckers, they tell you to eat grubworms. They tell you to eat grubworms. I tell you this, I ate a couple grubworms and I started feeling a little gay. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying I'm just asking questions.
Taylor was chasing me.
I'm no longer.
And then he disappeared into a vent.
I was watching Taylor hard as shit.
Oh shit! Woody, you claimed I went into a vent. It's Woody. It's fucking Woody. It's fucking Woody. You said that I went in. You said that I went into a vent. Woody, I was in. Woody, I was in the same. I was. That this is.
Came back from the vent.
Can you hear? Hey, hold on. Can you hear Woody's breathy? Can you hear Woody's? Hold on. Can you hear Woody's breathy, nervous tone as he's talking about this?
After me early, and I know that it's not me.
I'm
100%.
I'm 100% sure it's not me. No, I can tell you. Woody and I were in the same. Woody and I were in the same fucking room. Woody and I were in the same room, and he went over there and pretended to fix the. Woody pretended. Hold on, let me fucking talk. Oh, fuck. I'm still muted. Right, God damn it.
Obviously, Taylor.
Fuck, this is my bad. I've been muted the whole time. I'm an idiot. But hold on. So basically, Woody was saying that he saw me go into a vent. You guys,
it won't fit on your head.
You guys didn't even talk about how much you liked my new hat.
I love your hat.
I love you to please show your hat.
Yeah, I love the deals that it comes along with.
How did it get that far away in the last 10 minutes?
Taylor's been getting free Starbucks all week.
Please put it full screen.
You guys don't like my new hat?
I love your new hat. You're going to get discounts at AutoZone with that.
I wear this to get discounts at local
Subway.
restaurants.
They gave him a foot long for the price of a 6-inch while wearing that.
They call me the Benjamin Button GI because I was there. I was the oldest fighter in the war back in the day, and now I'm the youngest, and people always saying I'm stealing valor. And then
but it's my valor.
I was really hoping you were a time traveler. Like you went back, fought the Nazis, and then came back to the future, and now you're just going about your life.
I had to go help, bro. Drawn to defend my country.
Would some of the fans do a good job of photoshopping Taylor on like the beach at Iwo Jima planting the flag or something? Not some stuff like that. He was in the Pacific Theater. Okay, just that's all you need to know. He killed 50 men, and they were all Japs. And if you could, I would like that. If he could just be in the background.
We need some pictures to prove it, guys.
Semper Fi, but I don't know about 50. I'm not like Cotton Hill. I'm not quite a hero like him.
No, you kept.
You still got your shins. Yeah, you
and
still got your shins.
I still got my shins.
If you still got your shins, you're not a proper hero.
Such as yourself should be celebrated.
Yeah, dude, I just got so fucking baked last week that like I ordered the World War II veteran. Like in my head, I was sitting there playing Magic. I think it may have like been after a PK last week where I was like cracking up to myself about how funny buying a World War II veteran hat was. And then like forget about it because I was baked out of my mind. And then 2 days later, it just arrives. And I'm like, this is wildly inappropriate.
And hilarious.
And funny though. And funny.
Yeah,
because like they're too old. I could beat up any World War II veteran.
You know what I
think? Yeah, I've never really worked in a restaurant, so I don't know.
I don't what are you talking about? You were a scoop specialist.
For Ben one
Jerry's
day.
Counts, bro. You're one day or also, eh?
One day.
Why did you only last
actually,
one day?
It's not that I only lasted one day. I've told the story before, so I'll keep it quick. I was never technically hired. I went into Ben & Jerry's looking for a job over summer when I was like 16 because what I did over the summer was coach hockey at a goalie camp. And so I was a coach at one of those camps. And that only lasted like 8 weeks total, all the different camps, maybe even less, 6. And my dad's like, you're not going to just do 6 weeks of work this summer. You got to like do real jobs. So go get Ben & Jerry's or go get something. So I was like driving around, like looking for a job. It's like 2007, 2006, whatever it was. And I found a Ben & Jerry's, went in, this hippie lady was like, at the front, and I'm like, are you guys hiring? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, do you have an application? And she's like, oh, don't bother yourself with that. Come on back here. I've been invented. There were no customers in there. Red flag 1. And like
I like within 40 seconds of walking into Ben and Jerry's, I'm donning an apron in the back. And this woman is like, how about you just here, you know, with Steve here. If I recall, he's kind of an effeminate guy. You're going to make waffle cones with Steve. And so I made waffle cones for like 5 hours. Not a lot of customers come in. I botched some waffle cones early, got my technique down later. The problem I had early with making the waffle cones is that the hole at the bottom was too large. There'd be too much drippage. And so I fixed that up a bit, got my technique down. Some customers came in, this girl and her mom, and then the effeminate guy was like, go ahead and serve them up. And so then I went over there and the woman asked for something like Choco Monkey Grape or whatever fucking ridiculous flavor they had. And the way they had it listed is, you know, there's like 6 in each giant freezer. There's like 12 flavors and they're stacked like 2 or 3 like that in a row and then in a grid. And the little cheat sheet they had at the top on my end as the scooper, the way it should be is the top one should be what is furthest away from me. It should be like I should be able to lay that down on top of the ice cream, and that's the way it should be organized because I'm not like Codename style. Because like if you're not retarded, it was inverted than that. The ones at the top were the ones closest to me. It just didn't make sense, and so I gave this woman
heads or tails of that.
No one could make heads, and I didn't have the eye expertise yet to differentiate between like puffy ape crunch and you know, the blizzard avalanche Rocky Road Extreme. And so I gave this woman like a big serving. I was trying to hook her up, gave it to her, and then she looked at it kind of displeased, and my manager was like, oh, that's the wrong flavor. And she was like, it's okay. And then the guy looked at me and was like, first day. And it was like, it's like, I haven't even been hired yet. I'm just working in food service.
Did you get paid for that day?
No. Then I went in the back afterward. They were closing. They were closed. No, I didn't get anything. They were closing. And then I went in the back and the woman was like, all right, we're going to give you a call and let you know when you start. And I like went home, told my dad, like, I'm going to be working at Ben and Jerry's. He's like, good for you, son. Good for you, son. You know, you have like a real job.
One day, boy, it's gonna be Ben, Jerry, and Taylor.
It's gonna be Ben and Taylor's. You're gonna beat that freeloader Jerry out. You're gonna get rid of that fucker. And so then, like, I waited weeks, and never heard from them until I, you know, just lady didn't answer my calls. Went back, they had closed, and I realized they had just lied to me. And just like gotten a free day of work, because you're not just like suddenly closed down by Ben and Jerry corporate that afternoon. They know it's coming. They took advantage of me. I was basically a slave for one day because I got no ice cream, I got no money, and I got no references. So
that's wow.
Yeah,
you need to go to Ben and Jerry's and demand reparations,
dude. Ben and Jerry. All their progressive nonsense online, and meanwhile they enslaved me. They enslaved me for one day, and I'm not cool with it. So Ben, Jerry, if you're out there, I don't want to hear a lick about your fucking progressive ice cream until I am paid for my day.
Yeah, he's got a underground railroad that goes to Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, like, I'm going to freedom.
Yeah,
to Baskin Robbins.
Fight the power, brother. Fight the power.
That's what dude. I need to do that. I need to get some of my followers on Twitter to help me harass the Ben and Jerry's corporate account for back payment with inflation taken into account from my day of work in 2006.
Not to mention interest.
Not to mention interest on it and ice cream.
That's like $2 million right now, bro. Go for it.
It is. Yeah, that may have only been 5 hours of work in 2006, but that's 12 hours of work now.
You know, are you sure?
Pain and suffering.
Exactly. Emotional trauma.
Yep.
Are you sure that she didn't, you know, just decide that you weren't Ben and Jerry's material?
If I would have gone back and seen them doing their thing, then maybe that would be the assumption I'd take away. But the fact that they had a going out of business sign, like closing sale shit. It's like, okay, well.
Wait, does that sign there when you worked? Like maybe you should have put
No. It wasn't. I would have put that. I would have put those pieces. I was a retarded 16-year-old, but I would have put those pieces together. Like, yeah. So all I did that summer was coach hockey because Ben and Jerry strung me along. We had a game at the airport. So like my manager, very nice guy, but horrible at handling like conflict with customers. He was too nice. He wasn't good at putting his foot down ever, and would end up just giving them the farm if they asked for it. And so after a while, there was one time where people were asking for a manager in a hectic situation, and I was just like, yeah, that's me. Just lied and then handled it okay. And so from then on at the airport, like when there was a really horrible customer, they would call an audible called pretend manager. And I was pretend manager. And so like I would get calls and I was doing fleet management stuff, and it'd be like, hey, what's up? And he'd be like, fleet manager was like being outside, like organizing what cars go where. It's like after you graduate from finishing the ticket writing, or at least it was at this branch. And he would call out to the booth and be like, hey, Taylor, we got a really rowdy one here on line 2. Can you pretend manager for us? I'd be like, and I loved pretend manager. It was so much fun to be pretend manager.
I like to think you did accents for no reason.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, and it would just be shit like answering the phone. Taylor, manager of the airport. And they'd be like, I was just talking to someone and they are not refunding the $40 that you owe me. And then I would just like make up managerial protocols a lot of the time. Where I'd be like, we have something called the T2 form. You're going to want to dial him back. Make sure you get that. That's called a lost item form. Now you're going to transition that from me to the actual airport security. They know exactly where to file. A lot of this was just buying time for the manager to figure out what it was. So you're going to call them, ask about that, and then you ring us back. And make sure you have and then just list off a couple, your insurance card number, your just stuff to slow them down, to make it so we can actually find what they lost or get what they need. And I would just send these people on goose chases. And just absolute goose chases to find all these things. And then usually by the time they got back, it'd be like, oh, it's all, you don't need any of that. It's all sorted. It's all. And then other ones, the most fun one of those, there was this like really effeminate, short, fat guy who he came in right into the front and he said, I reserved a Chevy Tahoe and I don't see a Chevy Tahoe. I just walked your lot. He was giving me that head shaking, that condescending. I just walked your lot. I reserved a Chevy Tahoe and it is not there. Do I need to go to a competitor? Do I need to call my friend who is a lot higher up here in you at this company? Do I need to do that? Do I need to do it? And I remember doing pretend manager and I was like, sir, you're acting erratic. Have you been drinking? There are other people in line. He's like, the fact you would even ask that says more than enough. I'm definitely ringing him. I'm ringing him. I'm like, sir, as far as we are as a company, I'm sure you know a lot of people who are high up here, and I respect that. You've just come in here in a way that I no longer feel secure renting our property to you. I apologize for the inconvenience. If you'd like, I could call you a cab and get you where you need to be. It's just our property and yourself, sir, for your own safety. I don't know if we feel it's the best idea that we give you a vehicle at this time. And like keep it way tamped down so that the comparison between us is extreme, that anyone around is observing that I am the one who's right. And so, oh man, if I could go back there for
Such
a day,
piece of shit. I hate you.
all I would do is be pretend manager.
I just came here to get my Tahoe and it's not here. Sir, are you on any drugs right now? Because you're acting very erratically. And is that a blade you have?
Is that a blade? He's got a knife. He's got a screaming in there.
I don't know about it, but I feel like I smell alcohol and pot on him.
I think I smell. Is that plastic explosive? Do you have
I don't smell it.
Explosives?
Let me tell you why, though, he was freaking out about the Tahoe. Because I told him, you only reserved a class of car. You didn't reserve a Tahoe. We're giving you a Suburban or whatever the equivalent was. And he would not take it. He refused. He thought I was lying about going out there. And so he went and walked the lot, which took him way too long to walk the entire fucking airport lot and then come back and get mad. And so it was definitely his fucking fault. He could have just taken the Suburban and left instead of screaming at me in front of.
You should have leaned in close and whispered that to him. You could be leaving with a Suburban. So I'm going to humiliate you in front of all of these people.
Yeah. And I still remember the person who came, and what ended up happening in the end, it was all fine. He ended up calming down, and then actual manager, who I said was the branch, the higher manager.
This is Mr. Hertz himself.
And then, hey, suddenly when you tell someone you're not getting a car, suddenly the Suburban seems like a great idea, doesn't it? And he was more than happy to take that Suburban by the time it was done. And literally the next lady in line, or it was maybe a couple after, because there were dozens of people in line as we're having this bout of frustration, were like telling me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We're such fucking sheep.
Yeah, don't be sorry. I was actually fucking with him. That went perfectly from my perspective.
Oh, I didn't smell anything. To be honest, I have a Suburban, a Tahoe. I got all kind of shit back there. I just have a little fun.
The secret is I did smell whiskey, but that was me.
Yes. I mean, I'm drunk as shit. And I'm high.
I'm fucking I smelled my own burp, I think.
To be honest, I crashed the Tahoe last night, and that's why it's not available.
I'm going to the funny ones, but for every one of the funny pretend managers, genuinely, there were 20 times that I handled an actual problem way fucking better than my managers, just because I wouldn't get all sheepish or I wouldn't get all like flustered and yell like a couple of them would. So
what's wrong with sheepish though? Like, I know when I had people do customer support at Woodycraft, I had to get people off of that job or even fire a couple because they try to win at customer service. And it's like, no, winning at customer service is when the customer walks away happy. That's how this is done. Yes. You know, if you battle this guy in some sort of argument and you clearly come out on top, great. That doesn't help Woodycraft at all. That sucks.
Yeah. See, the thing was, like, at least in this business, it was like, if you're too sheepish, like some sales or managers people were, like, you would get bullied into renting a car like a Tahoe for $19 a day. And then it's like, we're hemorrhaging money on this. Like, people are getting mad. And so that's like the level of sheepish I'm talking about, is managers letting themselves get absolutely stomped on.
But who cares about the bottom line?
I don't care. I just don't want to get yelled at by the area manager who would come. This fucking weirdo who worked there, the area manager. I remember he was so strict. You had to shave every day. And you
I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember there was one, me and my buddy, we worked at the insurance replacement branch at this point, and it was the redheaded stepchild of the entire area. He never came to our branch because it was a shithole. There weren't enough chairs for all the employees. We had to stand most of the time. We got so bored in the middle of that warehouse.
Chair.
I'm saying we got so bored in the middle of this warehouse, you know, those bays, that I ordered off Amazon a cheap hockey net and some sticks, and we would just play hockey in there sometimes when it was slow. But this guy, me and my buddy Sean, who worked there, both of us were low little underlings, and we had made it 3 weeks without shaving. It was a game for us to like play, you know, chicken and see how long we could go. And so like I'm for weeks now, no fucking tie, sleeves up, beard, don't fucking care. And then there was one time where I wasn't paying attention, and I was just sitting like doing something on the computer, and then the area manager comes in. He goes, "Well, hey, Taylor." And I was like, "Hello." Full beard, sleeves up, shirt's dirty, no tie.
I'm not Taylor. This is a disguise.
Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I was doing callbacks for overdue cars. And he's like, yeah? Are you? And I was like, yeah. He's like, haven't shaved in a while, have you? And this guy was such a passive aggressive fuck. He would never actually call you out. He would just make little office space like, right, we're going to need you to shave that by Monday. If you could do that, that'd be great. And so then I figured, this bitch is never going to get onto me for anything. And so I could just do whatever I want as far as not shaving and rolling up my sleeves and not wearing a tie. And so that's what I did. So it all panned out. Other than that, I was a great employee.
That's a long list of that's.
Yeah. You've been going for 35 minutes. This was a deposition.
Hey, pretend manager was a good bit, and I'm never backing down from pretend manager. And it was mostly helpful.
I think helpful for you passing the time, but as far as fuck.
Okay. When you worked your 60-hour plus a week, how many hours did you work?
I never really counted like the driving time as working that much because that was so easy. But other than that, like you're fucking standing, typing tickets and doing back stuff the entire time. You're doing shit, and then like managers pass stuff off, and so they'll be like, "Hey, we got a." And then sometimes, it was fun when you got to do this. They'd be like, "All right, we got a red minivan." I had to do this a couple times. There was this dirt poor trailer park in rural Idaho, and they were like, "All right, well, it's been 4 weeks since we've seen this Chevy.
who wants to go out and take a look? Who wants to go drive to the trailer park and ask around, see if they know where it is? And I would always be like, yes, this is so cool. I want to do that. And so I'd drive around in a trailer park, and like if anyone was standing, I'd be like, hey, have you seen a red, really new looking van recently? And like it was like sleuthing. I never actually found any, but it was fun. Big Fum Stupid, thanks for the $3. Can you do Hank Hill reading the Unabomber's manifesto? What are some like quotes from the Unabomber's manifesto that Hank Hill would say? The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have... Oh! Bobby, what the hell are you reading? Alone in your room.
Dad, you don't even understand how evil the government is.
Oh, this kind of hippie talk has no place in my home.
Well, I think it's good that he's showing an active interest in politics.
Peggy, he's reading the Unabomber.
Syndrome, an interesting thing that's happened in my life recently. So some friends of a friend that I've hung out with only a handful of times, they're lesbians, and they're cool. I really don't know them that well, but they've always been nice and courteous and fun to talk to. Sure.
Are they hot lesbians?
They're the kind of lesbians that they don't show on TV, like the real ones, like more like overall kind of lesbian than like, oh, let's push our perfect tits together and make out on a train in front of people. Not that kind.
Okay.
Like it definitely lesbians. And they so my girlfriend was talking to them because she's friends of theirs, and she came to me and was like, hey, I was talking to them, and they're a few years older than me, and the lesbians, I mean, and she's like, oh, these two lesbians, they really want to have a kid. And after hanging out with you a few times, they really think you're handsome and that you're very funny and clearly, smart. And I was like, oh, that's really flattering of them. And I'm thinking like that they would want to have a child like me. Wow, neat. And my girlfriend was like, and they want to know if they can have your sperm. And I was like, I'm gonna have to think on this for a bit. Like I'm gonna have to think on this because. Isn't that a little weird?
What is the method of sperm delivery?
He goes.
I told them the only way I'll do it is if I can blow in one of their mouths and then she spits it into the other one's pussy and I get to watch.
All right, I was going to assume that. Yeah.
The way all God's children are made, but that is a little bit of a lot to process, right? You don't think about that as anything until you get asked it. Like if you had asked me, a month ago, hey, would you be okay with giving sperm to someone? And like, I just have to jack off in a cup or something or whatever. Yeah, sure. Okay.
A month
but then
ago.
when I'm saying like this happened recently. So like if you asked me a month ago, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure. I didn't put any thought into it. But then after thinking about it for a second, when being requisitioned for my sperm, I was like, do I want like a little me out there running around not knowing who his dad is? Like I give the sperm and then I have to like sign a paper, like signing off any right I have for the child. And I'm like, no, that's a little upsetting in a way, like you wouldn't want your own progeny running around out there and not being able to do anything about it. Like, I don't know. I'm still a little split on it. Where are you guys coming down?
They make these bullets, and when you shoot the bullet, there's a wildflower seed inside of the projectile. And so you can just spray them everywhere and know that someday soon, all of that random spray that you just shot into the forest and the gutters and the gullies and just the most horrible places in existence are going to soon be filled with wildflowers.
And what does that have to do with what I said?
A whole lot.
I think the lesbian is a horrible gutter that you're somehow improving with your sperm.
Not her in particular, but maybe I haven't seen her. I haven't seen.
So
this,
it's all
this
women
cool.
are kind of a gutter that need a purpose.
I'm picturing these lesbians as someone who would make good firemen, right? Just based on Taylor's brief description, they can haul a wounded person out of the second floor.
No.
No. Okay.
No. If I were burning in my place, I wouldn't be like, "Help, lesbians!" I'd want a big burly man to come up there and save me. But do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like giving your sperm so someone else, like a lesbian couple or whoever, can have kids? Like it's kind of odd.
Well, first of all, I have heard on Reddit of situations where a man has done this, and then like the lady came back at him for like child support anyway.
That's where my
and that
head
was
went.
terrifying to me. That's so fucked. I'm sure there's some paperwork you could get to prevent something like that,
I didn't
but
even consider that.
yeah, they were like, well, you're the baby's father. You're not going to provide. Well, we had a whole arrangement. The judge is like, so was it like a pinky swear arrangement, or yeah, you're paying? Yeah.
Oh no. Well,
So
now
that
I'm
would be scary.
definitely made my mind up.
And look, I'm just speaking out of my ass on that, but I have read of those circumstances happening. I don't know state by state, or if you could get some sort of not prenuptial agreement, pre-turkey baster in her pussy agreement, like to make sure that she doesn't ever come. Because you don't know these people, and you might want to get to know them a little better, right? Like, what if they're crazy and like fucked?
I definitely don't know them well enough to
give them your
a-
seed.
a child.
Let's stick it. No. From henceforth, give them your seed. That's how we're going to refer to this.
I like that more actually.
Yeah, see, I think that's what you have to start with. Is make sure that you really like these people if you're going to give them your seed. And
I like the switch to seed. Well done. Yeah.
Yes, if you're gonna give them your seed, then you definitely want to see like, who are these people, and ask them like, well, what the fuck happens if like she leaves you? Like, then you're stuck with my baby, and then like, what are your plans then? Like what do they do for a living? Like they.
You can't just donate
I
your
don't even
seed and
know.
detach from the parenthood aspect of it. Like, I keep hearing this concern about like the couple's future together and things like that. What if they get divorced? What if this? You're just providing a way for two women to be parents.
Yeah, but that's it's your seed, and so it's going to be your little eggplant somewhere running around, fucking head-butting glass tables and shit like that.
Yeah.
Taylor's talked about
Little
the
me.
biological imperative to become parents and procreate, right? And if you don't have that biological imperative, then you're weeded out of the gene pool. What's wrong with you, dude? Shouldn't you just
I
be
know.
Johnny Appleseeding it all over? You could become like a gay couple's donor. It could be a thing. This could be the start of something beautiful.
I want to be the Genghis Khan of gay couples across this nation, where I'm just giving out seed willy-nilly. Hey, you need some? Yeah, but we're a little abusive to each other, but we both like Snatch. It's like, you had me at hello. Give them a little more seed. I'll be exhausted. But man, I could reform the world. There'd be a bunch of large-headed, very early puberty starting children out there.
Just, I want to see like the gay version of Taylor, right? All
I will
like
remake Generation Z in my image.
this is a brilliant idea. I don't see what could possibly go wrong. Yeah, but you do need to involve a physician in the process.
You can achieve anything.
What'd you rage about?
Shit, what did I?
Oh, I remember. You
I was
came in hot with
mad.
Happy Fall, y'all. Taylor talked about getting dragged to all these pumpkin patches and festivals with his girlfriend, who's got. I think it was your girlfriend who's got who put the cherry on the shit holiday sundae with this ticky-tacky CVS mass-produced decorations of Happy Fall, y'all.
Exactly. That was part of the rage. It was mainly I was really upset by having to go to a pumpkin patch hungover as fuck on a Saturday morning because apparently all the Walmart pumpkins aren't okay. Like, you have to drive 50 minutes through East STL to get there, and it's just a shithole. And then spend like $40. When we went up to check out with the pumpkins, and we like put it on a scale, this fucking bootleg scale with that scammy 16-year-old's thumb on it, and they're like, "All right, well that's 20 pounds of pumpkins. That'll be $45." And I wanted to just say no. Like, no, I'm absolutely not paying $45 for 2 pumpkins. You fucking crook, you asshole. And they still did charge me $45 for the pumpkins.
Yeah, well, you got to pay for the experience of picking your own pumpkin.
It's not a fun experience. Was my point. Is like, it's enraging to be like. It would be like me going to you, Woody. It's like, hey, it's Cinco de Mayo. There's a place 2 hours from here that has a great burrito, and I'd love to take you there and spend all day doing it. I love not just some of the day. I'd love to spend your whole day, Woody. Your whole day doing this. And then you're like, actually, there's a Chipotle right down the road. There's actually a Mexican place 20 minutes. I'm like, no. There's a place 2 hours away, and that's where I want my burrito from. And then being a good boyfriend to me, Woody, you would say, okay, let's do this. You take when you go to Blues games and stuff for me, and you watch me get aggravated at my shit tier team,
I owe you this.
I think the real hallmark of a quality boyfriend is to fuss and complain about it for months afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't do it to her.
Well, yeah, she needs to pay. She needs to pay. How will she learn if you don't like really just drag this topic up every time she's fussy? Then next year there's just gonna be another Happy Fall, y'all 2 and 3.
I can't even be mad at it because we got
Pretty
there.
soon you'll have a storage container full of it.
She bought me a beer and she bought the pumpkins, and so all I had to do, and she even drove. To be fair to her, so I just had to attend. Basically, but even then it was like, God, all the things I could be sitting at home doing nothing right now. I'm missing out.
I don't see why we're being fair to her. She fall y'all, yeah, and she needs to pay the piper.
That was a good one too. Is I was talking to Dick about decorating your home, and as I sit here now, there's a Christmas tree right there, and there are still cobwebs with spiders between my hanging kitchen lights. And I keep telling her, you got to take down the Halloween stuff. And she's like, well, I'm not tall enough to reach all that. And it's like, I got to take down the Halloween stuff, I guess.
Who put it up?
So, but then I let her, I very graciously allowed her quite a bit of decorating autonomy. And then she snuck in with a Happy Fall, y'all pumpkin with sparkles on the side. And like I can't even articulate the pouring away and leaving of masculinity I felt when I saw in my own home one day when she wasn't even here, walking in and seeing fucking Happy Fall y'all over there. I literally hid it. She still doesn't know where Happy Fall y'all is, and I'm not telling her because it's in the trash.
Is it really?
It's the talking. Yeah. I don't want to have to interact. I'm fine with the decorations, but don't make me interact with them. Don't make me look them in the eye.
See, I took Dick's advice on the show because the second I brought up the Happy Fall y'all thing, he's like, throw that away. That you have to burn it in effigy. Save yourself from what's coming. And I immediately, after I finished recording, I'm like, you know what? Dick's right. Dick's right. I'm throwing this away. And I went over, threw it away. And the next time she comes over and she was like, where's the Happy Fall y'all pumpkin? I was like, I don't know. I must have misplaced it, and oh man. I saw something really interesting today that I'd never seen before. I was getting gas at a gas station where I'd get most of my gas, and I was filling up.
I had to process that. Sorry, Taylor. So you get your gas at what kind of store?
I don't know why I included the detail. So I was getting gas. There was this woman with Down syndrome in front of me with putting gas in a car, and I was like, That's really nice of whoever's driving to let her feel part of the gang, getting this going. I bet she's in there buying a soda or whatever, or he or whoever this person's guardian is. And so I was like, all right. And I walk in to get myself my Diet Pepsi, and I'm like, nobody in here. That's weird. And so I got my Pepsi and I walked back out and I pull my gas thing out and I see her. She'd already taken hers out. She's a couple steps ahead of me, and I was like, what's she doing? And then she got in the front of the car and drove away. And I was like, is this allowed?
Yeah.
Retarded people allowed to drive? I was like, this can't possibly be cool. What? She didn't get in an accident from what I could tell, but
immediately.
It is.
Immediately careen into anything.
I looked inside and what? Really? It's interesting. I had no idea they were allowed to drive.
They totally are. They have to pass the same driver's test, written and driven like anyone else. And if they pass it, they get a license. And the other thing about Down syndrome that isn't widely known is you can't look at them and see how severe their Down syndrome is. There's a medium, and I think it's called mosaic Down syndrome, where some people look like they have Down syndrome, but they barely have it. And then the opposite is true too, where some people look pretty much like everybody else. They don't have that characteristic Down syndrome vibe about them, but they actually have Down syndrome.
Who's that comedian who did the bit where he's like, there's nothing worse than going up to ask what looks like a normal dude directions, and then you're like, hey, do you know how to get to IHOP from here? He turns around, he's like, oh, do you want to do it? And then you're like, what are you doing walking around looking normal? Get out of here.
That's so mean. I don't like that.
I
remember who that comedian
I go.
But yeah, I had no idea that people with Down syndrome could drive. I knew I'd never heard that term mosaic, but I knew that there was a spectrum of it, but I didn't know that any spectrum part was so not impaired that you were allowed to drive.
Just a touch of the Downs.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I've seen There was a guy who did a TV show. He was an actor, and it centered around him. I think he was the star of his own like TV show. He had Down syndrome, and I thought Kyle would know the actor's name immediately because sometimes he does. But that guy must have been memorizing lines and running a show and doing stuff that's a lot tougher than driving.
Yeah,
running a show is maybe not the thing, but
The show was called Downtown.
was it?
Was it really?
No, it wasn't. All right, I'm too gullible. I've got my own disabilities.
23's company.
You guys are bad. Well, I looked up Down syndrome TV show, and the first thing it says is it's about keeping up with the Kardashians.
That's funny.
It's called Life Goes On, I think. And the guy's name was Corky, and the actor's name was Chris Burke. But yeah, that guy, like, I don't know. He was the star of the show. He had a lot of lines. So, Mosaic.
Yeah, there's there was a movie that specifically had like, The Ringer, when Johnny Knoxville basically pretends like he's retarded to win the Special Olympics, and he ends up befriending all of these people who are on the retarded, and like they're played by actors who are clearly retarded, but they're fine. I feel like they're what you described, Woody. They just got a touch of the Downs, and they know their lines. They're funny. Their timing is good. It's
Because one of the guys in that movie has actual Down syndrome, and he has the look that he looks like he'd be severely impaired, but it was what he described that he clearly doesn't. Because he's in some old, that same dude is in some old like Jackass and Wild Boys clips where they like in the like Jackass 2.5 or whatever, where like they do stuff with him there, and he's clearly like impaired, but he's like cracking jokes like with them.
Yeah.
So.
You might not want him to be a crane operator, but he can come up with a good joke and he can act. You know, Plenty of people fall within that. Wings was a crane operator.
I didn't get in trouble for it because no one ever found out, but I still remember first day of fucking kindergarten, going in, asking if I could use the bathroom, going to the bathroom, going in a stall to pee because like, for some reason I don't think they had urinals in there, and going in and just pissing all over the top of the toilet and the side walls of the stall. And in my head, I'm 5 years old. My head thought over and over was, big boys do what they want.
This is how big boys pee.
I remember my mom just always pumping me up and being like, oh, you're a big boy now. You're going to kindergarten. And I was like, I took that to heart and I was like, hell yeah, big boys do what they want. You were talking about shooting guns out of your pickup truck, though, and that reminded me when I lived in Idaho, a guy I worked with was really, really into guns. And he was like, hey, dude, let's go out shooting sometime. I know this really awesome place. And like, he's from there. He knew every area. He's like, it's really not that far, but it's secluded as shit. And it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, even when you hop back on the highway and you're at a Hardee's in 2 seconds. It's like, oh, cool. Let's do that. And so he and I and a couple of his other friends I didn't know get in his truck one day after we get off work. And he supplied all his guns. He had a nice collection. He was like, oh, doing that gun thing, which is very wholesome and nice. As we're driving, he's like, and you're going to love this one because XYZ, and I have this accessory on it and this and that. And you know, he's one of those just so excited to do it. And I was like, oh, this sounds awesome, dude. So we get out there, start loading everything up. He's explaining all the guns I'm not familiar with. And we start just popping these little targets, these little foam targets that we brought with us. And then we take a shotgun out and we have like a self thrower. So I'm heaving up clays and shooting them, having fun. And then after maybe 35 minutes, this like little, you know, those tracker cars, those like old Ford trackers, they're like short, like little crappy ones. But it was
Chevy maybe or something. Yeah,
it looked like a Geo tracker, but not quite that shitty. And it had like a little like light on top of it. And it was driving out there, and I was like, what the hell is this? And he kind of just sat there and watched us for a bit. And the guy was like, it's no big deal. Like I'm sure lots of people come out here to just shoot guns. And in my head, then I'm like, we're the only people I've seen. Matter of fact, I don't see anyone else out here. After a couple more minutes, the guy drives over and gets out. He's got like a security / almost like army looking is what my first thing was. And I was like, what the hell is this? And he walks up and he addresses my friend who like does that. Like, you know, he's the guy who's brought us there. So he like goes to meet him out a few feet, and the guy's coming up and the guy's like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, we're shooting guns. And he goes, yeah. You're doing it at an Air Force testing field. What are you doing here? And I was like, oh no. Like, am I going to get in trouble for this? I thought we were going to a fun
This
little
is a minefield.
You know, it's Air Force testing field, apparently, is what it was. And the guy was very cool. My friend who brought me there is like, I'm so sorry, man. I've been out here like a dozen times before. I thought it was fine. And he's like, yeah, I guess a lot of people do. We don't see him that much. There's cans everywhere, but you got to get out of here. You can't be shooting guns on an Air Force base, basically. And even if it's in the middle of nowhere, because Air Force bases are apparently ginormous.
Huge.
And so, yeah, then we just hopped in and left. And I just felt lucky that we didn't get like a ticket or something or whatever it would be. Man, this isn't really hard at all. Also, Connect 4. Losing badly at Connect 4. I played with my girlfriend at like one of those giant ones at a bar a couple nights ago. And we were like dropping the big plastic discs in. And she won in 4 moves. And I had to
Wait. So you just set up a ramp for her with your 3 moves?
Yeah, I just was like half not paying attention and half just not being that smart and just messing it up. And then I have to be like, actually, I'm just bored by this. Let's go play darts instead of because you can't admit you're actually dating a retarded person. It's like, losing in 4 moves in Connect 4.
That's that's kind of funny. Like, but I'm thinking about what your 3 moves had to be, right? Like, she put one down, you put the block so she could go above it, and then you put 2 blocks so that she could, do. I'm assuming she won angular, but that's not necessarily true.
I think it was just flat. I think it was just flat. And I'm not going to pump my own tires on that, but yeah, it was tremendously dumb to lose that bad at a game.
I hope there were a lot of spectators on that. It makes it better. Like the whole bar.
We weren't alone in there.
Who's this retard?
That's so nice of her to volunteer.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of impolite of her to take advantage of him like that. The guy's clearly handicapped.
Beating that retarded man to Connect 4.
In 4 moves.
God, look at the size of that guy's head. Wow.
A head that big with nothing inside. Sorry.
Look at those enormous candies you buy. It's just a shell.
I wonder if his ears fart.
Yes.
Taylor, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Tell me about your African Uber driver.
Oh, yeah. This was like 2 months ago now that I was in an Uber, heading to a buddy's house, hang out, pool day. Had to Uber because it was in the middle of St. Louis's absurd heat wave where we were the hottest place in the country for like 6 weeks, and my AC went out in my car. And so I was like, I'm not driving and dying in my car on the way there. And so I ordered an Uber, and it's this African guy who's my Uber driver. And immediately, like, he's already on the phone when he picks me up, and he like stops for 1 second to be like, do you mind if I continue to speak on the phone? And I was like, no, not at all. And so I just got like a 25-minute ride from this guy. By the way, he took the absolute longest way to my friend's house. I tried like at least 2 times to be like, you want to take a right here? We didn't take a right there. You want to go straight? And we turned there. We went through like neighborhoods. But this guy, he was like, must have been something of a relationship
that
guru.
Would upset me.
Well, he was interesting. He was on the phone, clearly talking to first a man for most of the car ride, and clearly this man was confiding in him about his relationship problems, and they're both Nigerian or something. And so he had all these like funny tips. Like the big tip that I remember him saying over and over was like, you are allowing a woman in your own house to dictate to you what you do and what you do not do. This is something that to me is entire nonsense. That is why you are in this situation. This situation has happened to you because she is in your house and she is telling you and you are listening to her. You do not allow her in your house to dictate the rule. He said dictate a lot. To dictate the rules to
I'm
you.
with him. I'm on board with him because I'm picturing a scenario where like, yeah, you can move in with me. And she's like, hey, clean your shit up. Hey, get your towels off the floor. Hey, come in here. Like fucking, what are you doing? You left your dish on the table? Yeah, it's my fucking table, my fucking dish.
Yeah.
Smash.
This guy was traditional
Clean it
as
up.
shit. Like
he-
very traditional Nigerian man. He's like,
Yeah.
she is not meant to be in your house instructing you. You are to lead her in the house. You
he
are
learn anything?
when you are in the house, you are in charge. And so you do not listen to her. You are having listen. And then he'll be like, listen to me. Listen to what I am saying to you. I say again, when she dictate to you and you listen to this, you are not taking your power as a man. Your power as a man, that is your house. That is your home. You are the head of the snake. Or whatever the fuck.
I like that. Stay with that.
I
What
added
was
that
it?
bit in.
The head of this what?
You are the head of the snake.
Oh, okay. I
That's
like
the
it.
head of the snake. And now it will become a Celia boy.
I like the tail.
You are the locomotive on this train.
If the head
He is the
follows
tail
the
of the
tail,
snake.
what would happen?
What will happen? No, you cannot. You are having problem in relationship because she does not respect you. You are allowing her to be in a part of the relationship that she as a woman should not be a part of. And it was like, I wish I could hear the other guy's point,
Yeah.
like all the stuff he was complaining about. But I'd like to say, I think I learned stuff from him. I think I learned a lot about Nigerian masculinity. And I think I'm going to take that to the bank next time I'm in a serious relationship. And never allow a woman in my house to tell me how I must behave. Never.
Well, I mean, I'm with Magumbo here. All
Yep.
that sounds pretty good to me.
I gave him a good
On
tip
the-
and 5
on-
stars.
On the surface, I don't like him driving you all around town. I did not put up.
No,
with that. I don't get
but
an
like
Uber
at the
much.
end of it, I was fine with like 4 extra minutes of driving to get a little more
Fair.
insight. Yeah.
That's fair.
But then at the end, clearly a woman was on the phone. And so I think he was like mitigating a familial conflict with someone that he knew. Like he was the guru handing out life lessons to people. And I didn't really catch much of the woman.
I would have got a
should have been like,
second.
"Hey, I
you know
need some
what?
help."
Take me back. I want to hear I want to hear you tell her.
Yes.
You are just a woman. It is your job to shut your trap.
Yeah, that's what it was. He like gives the guy like all this build up advice, and then for the woman, he's like, "You are a despicable witch. I am going to kill you because you step out of line in your house with your husband." So I assume it was husband and wife. They're pretty traditional over there, I think. Pretty Christian, mostly in
So
Nigeria.
you think you picked up a few things from them? Yeah, I think of
Hope
them
so.
as Catholic or definitely Christian in some way or another.
Yeah, they're one
I
of the
had
more
one
Christian. I think not super.
I worked
Muslim.
with a Nigerian guy. He had like his name was like Alexander or something. He had like a very white name, and I just
Oh, never
remember he
mind.
was like really good with the ladies. He was a good looking guy. He was a big dude, and he called pussy cuckoo. He's like, I know how to please the cuckoo. The cuckoo tried to get away from me sometimes. I do not let it. He's like calling him a whole maneuver.
From this
He's
point
like,
going forward, I also call pussy cuckoo.
yeah, he's like,
little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
he's explaining how he'd like put a couple of pillows and pile them up and kind of put that around the lady's waist so her butt would be up. He's like, but then you grab the pillow and the cuckoo cannot get away. He was just always talking about like really getting after some cuckoo.
And
That was
she's
his jam.
already woozy from the head injury. She does not have a chance to escape my Uber.
This reminded me of a haircut. Did you guys ever get your hair cut by your mom when you were
Yes.
growing up?
Yes.
So I had to do that a couple times, and usually it was just a bloodbath. I looked like a real ass. Like you have to get a really bad haircut for someone in 3rd grade up here to say something's wrong with your hair. But that's achievable when like you cut it this high, and it's like that's not a natural end for hair on the back of a child's head.
You're like a goddamn alien.
Yeah, you look like you're wearing a baseball cap of hair without the bill. Like that's the amount of head space it's covering. But one time my mom
Bill
actually
Fryer
nailed
talk.
it. Yeah, one time my mom got me pretty good with a decent haircut, and I went to school. The guy across the street drove me to school because he was much older, and he's like, "Oh, you're looking pretty sharp there." And I was like 8, so I'm like, "Thanks, man." And went to school, came back, and I told my mom. My mom was like, "Oh, they thought your hair looked nice, didn't they?" And they were our neighbors, and so my mom invited the 3 of them, who were all like, they're probably all like in their late 30s now. They're much older than me, and they came over to get haircuts for my mom because my mom was like, I'm really figuring it out with Taylor. Like, I'll give it to you for free. And she gave the first guy a haircut really not great. I'm standing there in the garage watching because I'm 8 and have nothing to do. The second guy, it's a slight bit better, you know. So maybe the third guy got a little bit of confidence, and then him, my mom just like started to feel like she was the queen of a salon, just like boom, 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 yeah, like going so quick, and she caught that ridge on the back of where your ear is with some clippers on the third guy, and I swear to God, I didn't know this area could bleed so much. Like she like raked it with the clippers without a guard on it and just punctured the back of the ear. And this I guess at the time like 16-year-old kid just had blood pouring down the back of his neck in the middle of our garage. And she didn't cut my hair anymore after that, so it was a net win.
Good thing you might be one-eared Taylor.
I might be. Yeah, that'd be even more comfortable. Make my head look smaller. So. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I was in college, I was wasted outside of a bar once, and a friend of mine. It was wintertime, and so nobody was taking cover for this bar outside. And I was so drunk, a buddy of mine convinced me. He's like, "Hey, nobody's standing out there. I bet you could go out there and pretend to be a bouncer and collect cover out in front of this bar." And I was like, "Yeah, I bet I could." And they're like, "No, really, go try it." I'm like, "Oh, I'll do it." So I went out there, and for like a few people, I was like, "Oh, whoa, ID. All right, $5." And then they give me $5. And then, no. ID? Like, pretend, you know?
This has a holographic key. This is bullshit. It's $10.
Yeah. And after a little bit of time and a little bit of money, I was like, this is stupid. I should probably go back inside and stop defrauding people. And the next morning, I felt really guilty about it, where I was like, oh, that's just stealing cleverly. Like,
but
oh,
Taylor,
it's not a joke.
Very cleverly.
Yeah, very cleverly. And
Like when you could really do that a lot. Like, this actually sounds like a wonderful idea, especially if you have the, you know, like in I don't know if they do this everywhere else, but in New York City in the winter, every place has that, like, they build like a booth outside of it so that when you open the door, it doesn't go directly into the winter. Mm-hmm. Like, so they have almost like a submarine lock, you know?
Yeah,
so like,
airlock.
Yeah, they basically have an airlock, and so they're like doubly not going to see you. Yeah, like in Star Trek.
Okay.
They're
you now.
Yeah. Almost Kyle for a bit.
Was that this show or the Lost one?
I think that was this show. It was the masseuse thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but we had to I could think about that for a second.